Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. He has also ventured into silkworm breeding outside Hidden Leaf Village, expanded the steel plant, and assigned ninjas to clear fields and construct water conservation systems. This initial phase requires a substantial investment with a long return cycle. Luckily, Obirama is on the front lines and remains unaware of the transformations happening in Hidden Leaf Village, otherwise, he would likely demand a hefty sum of gold from Yuya to distribute among the ninjas. The ninjas on the front lines are working diligently. Yuya acknowledges their efforts and agrees to provide rewards, but he knows he cannot simply hand out coins as Obirama would suggest. Doing so would set a bad precedent. Moreover, Hidden Leaf Village currently lacks sufficient funds for such recklessness. However, this situation is not expected to last long. Yuya envisions this year as a pivotal moment. He recognizes that the wealth in Hidden Leaf Village is concentrated within the Sarutobi and Shimura families, but these families tend to hoard their riches rather than invest back into the community. He understands that relying on these families for progress is unwise. In the original timeline, the third Hokage did little of substance during his tenure. His notable achievements seem superficial at best, including mentoring 3 students who eventually became known for their vices. Despite appearances, the third Hokage did make some moves, such as sending Shimura Danzō to the Anbu route. This organization, while seemingly powerful, had little true influence under his leadership. Likewise, as a member of the Sarutobi clan, Hiruzen's focus appeared to be primarily on his son Azuma, leaving little for the rest of the clan. Turning to other families, such as the Uchiha and Aburame clans, one can see a lack of ambition. The Akimaki clan, represented by Akimaki Taifeng, is tied closely to Obirama but shows no significant progress. The third Hokage, in contrast, invested in Minato Namikaze, a commoner, and groomed him despite his lack of a powerful background. The overarching theme is clear: these families, while influential, do not dare to challenge the legacy of Hashirama and Tobirama. Yuya realizes that without decisive action, he could end up in a similar predicament as the original third Hokage. So, what should he do? While Yuya hasn't fully formulated a plan, one idea stands out: focus on empowering the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village, improving their livelihoods, and making them prosperous. As for the newly established factories, they will remain entirely under the control of Senju Tobirama. Yuya knows that claiming to be the actual controlling shareholder would only lead to unwanted attention from the Hidden Leaf Village families. For now, he must grow and develop slowly. In the spring of Hidden Leaf Village's 18th year, Yuya undertook the project of revamping the village's streets, transforming them into a commercial district. By the summer, the commercial street was completed, attracting merchants eager to compete for one of the 50 shop quotas. The bidding for the land use rights alone brought in a staggering 300 million taels. The reports from Obirama on the front line left his expression unchanged, but the excitement about this first-year revenue was unmistakable. This was just the beginning, and the potential for future income was evident. Notably, the Hidden Mist Village family purchased 10 stores, while the financially struggling Hidden Sand Village managed to secure one, filling it with cacti, desert peppers, puppets, and ninja tools. Upon learning that Hidden Sand Village would be featuring puppets in their store, Yuya's initial disinterest quickly shifted. After all, who could resist a 2-dimensional, animated puppet? However, upon visiting the store, he was met with a lineup of poorly crafted wooden puppets, devoid of any intricate design or artistry. Pondering the situation, he pulled aside a young lavender-haired woman from Hidden Sand Village. "What can I get for you? Our desert peppers are quite delicious," she offered sweetly, assuming he was just another customer with limited funds. Yuya leaned in and whispered a proposal, causing her to recoil in shock. "You little brat. What do you think a puppet master is? Apologize at once." Yuya maintained a serious expression. 10 million taels. The young woman was taken aback but fell silent. The dignity of her profession clashed with the enticing offer laid before her. Swallowing her pride, she finally muttered, "How much?" 10 million taels. Deal. Despite her initial resistance, she couldn't ignore the lucrative offer. Yuya nodded and handed her a sketch of the desired puppet. "Make it exactly like this," he instructed. I know. she responded, her frustration evident. I'll have it ready in a week. You can pick it up then. It's not just about picking it up. I want to take her home. She's my wife. Yuya stated firmly. The young woman's face twisted in disbelief. What do you think a puppet is? She exclaimed, but the thought of the money quelled her indignation. Fine. Just come pick her up in a week. She begrudgingly agreed, her teeth clenched. Yuya, satisfied, produced a gold coin from his pocket. This is the deposit. Her eyes widened as she examined the coin, estimating its weight to be around 200 grams. Given the current spike in gold prices due to the war, her earlier indignation vanished. With a bright smile, she pocketed the coin. 1 week. I promise you'll be able to take her home. Yuya left, content with the transaction. Meanwhile, a young man, busy outside the store, called out to her. Sister, are you alright? We have customers waiting. She waved him off. Hey, just handle it yourself. Your sister has a big order to fill and won't be going out this week. Ah. He replied, bewildered. In his mind, he couldn't shake the unsettling realization, Senju Tobirama must die. The protagonist can't ascend to the throne without his death. While abdication might be an option, as long as Tobirama lives, no one would be qualified to take that step. Chapter 32 Yes, you all made money compared to the lone, deserted shop in Hidden Sand Village. The 10 shops in Hidden Mist Village are bustling with activity. The water country, home to Hidden Mist Village, is surrounded by the sea and abundant in various resources. Even though the villagers of Hidden Mist Village initially disliked fish, Hidden Leaf Village embraced it. After all, in these times, eating meat, whether fish or beef, was a luxury. If one could eat any kind of meat, it was considered a blessing. Unfortunately, Yuya doesn't know how to make something like ham sausage, which could simulate the taste of meat by adding some starch. If Yuya did know how to make it, he could have transformed Hidden Leaf Village into a place where everyone could enjoy the meaty taste within a year. This isn't an exaggeration. For the ordinary people of Hidden Leaf Village in its 18th year, having meat would be a paradise. Sadly, Yuya lacked this particular skill. Instead, the 10 shops in Hidden Mist Village sold a wide variety of fishery products. Even though Yuya adhered to regulations when buying fish, the village of Hidden Mist Village was making millions in tails from the sale of fish alone. This was already considered big business, and the demand was consistent. People who ate fish today would likely want more tomorrow. Meanwhile, Hidden Leaf Village was in an awkward situation. Despite the frequent opening of new factories, the village's population of only a few 100,000 made it hard to scale operations. Population size plays a crucial role in a country's development. For Senju Tobirama, too many people might have been troublesome, but Yuya believed the more, the better. There's something called a demographic dividend. While it might not be immediately obvious to an individual, for the country as a whole, a large population drives growth. Hidden Mist Village's residents were happy watching their profits grow daily, but Yuya was even more satisfied. Why? Because Hidden Mist Village's trade boosted Hidden Leaf Village's own economy. Although Hidden Mist Village was making money, the supplies Yuya imported were sold in Hidden Leaf Village's trade areas. The trade center Yuya initially thought would take 1 or 2 years to develop was completed in less than half a year, thanks to Hidden Mist Village's contributions. Now, Hidden Leaf Village had a reputation as a place where you could buy specialties from Hidden Mist Village, such as fruit wine, fish products, and rare items like salt and iron. The steel mill in Hidden Mist Village was constructed with Hidden Leaf Village's help, and while 1/10 of the output was reserved for Hidden Leaf Village annually for 3 years, Hidden Mist Village didn't mind. At first, some of the influential families in Hidden Mist Village wanted to limit production to reduce Hidden Leaf Village's gains, but they realized that this would also limit their own profits. In the end, they chose not to restrict output. Still, Yuya didn't place too much emphasis on Hidden Mist Village's steel plant because Hidden Leaf Village would soon expand to 10 smelting plants of its own. Iron was essential for everything, from building materials to household items. Attracting new residents, especially skilled laborers, to Hidden Leaf Village was Yuya's long-term goal, and having more young workers was ideal. Meanwhile, Hidden Sand Village envied Hidden Mist Village's success but couldn't compete. Hidden Sand Village's specialties were things like cactus and desert peppers, but neither could rival fish. Hidden Leaf Village residents weren't going to buy cacti, they weren't camels. Still, Chio, a puppet master from Hidden Sand Village, sold a finished puppet to Yuya, making enough money to cover a year's shop rent in Hidden Leaf Village. Other products, like desert peppers, had potential but weren't in high demand just yet. The daily expenses for Hidden Sand Village's ninjas stationed in Hidden Leaf Village were high, especially since Hidden Leaf Village had many ways to entice spending. Massage parlors, jewelry stores, and gambling dens were all part of the mix. Yuya even thought about introducing internet cafes to the world, but he lacked the technical know-how. Besides, introducing such a distraction could weaken Hidden Leaf Village's next generation of ninjas. Still, Uia's cultural influence was spreading, beginning with the idea that you can buy anything in Hidden Leaf Village. While Hidden Leaf Village now had access to water and wind country resources, Uia wanted more. He looked greedily at the Land of Lightning with its high-grade beef and the Land of Earth with its bountiful potatoes. While Hidden Sand Village was resource-poor, Hidden Leaf Village's future wars might open the door to further trade and cooperation. As Hidden Leaf Village prospered, Uia opened a high-end clothing store. Despite the expensive prices, the Shimura and Nara families bought a few items, surprising Uia. The typically low-key Nara clan clearly had deep pockets. Uia took note of this and secretly set up a ninja equipment and information technology research and development department focused on research, as Hidden Leaf Village's wealth needed to be wisely spent. The first research project was reverse engineering the puppet Uia had bought from Hidden Sand Village. While Uia preferred paper figurines, the craftsmanship of Hidden Sand Village's puppets was impressive, and it made sense to study them for future tactical advantages. Even if the findings weren't immediately useful, having them in reserve was valuable. As time passed, by the end of Hidden Leaf Village's 18th summer, Uia's plans for further development were well underway. Chapter 33, Win the Fight, Go Back and Ask for Money. Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village began confronting each other again after last year's harvest. However, since Hidden Stones Village and Hidden Mist Village appeared during the opening stages, both sides decided to put aside their dispute for the time being to observe the outcome. Obirama knew exactly what Hidden Clouds Village was thinking. These muscle-headed fools must have wanted Hidden Stones Village to win so that they could join forces and continue attacking Hidden Leaf Village. But Obirama wasn't worried. I wasn't afraid when the three of you joined forces before. He thought, so even if Hidden Stones Village wins and you two join forces, will I be afraid now? By the end of summer, Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village resumed their bickering. Hidden Clouds Village, ex-Hidden Leaf Village. The wheat at your father's farm is ripe. He's gone home to harvest it, and when he's done, he'll come back and chop you to pieces. Hidden Leaf Village, 20 Hidden Clouds Village muscle brains. Your grandfather's rice is ripe, and he's gone home to harvest it. Wait until he's done, and I'll kill you then. Both sides prepared to retreat temporarily. However, just as they were about to pull back, the news came that the war between Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Stones Village had ended. The second Mizukage and the second Tsushikage had died together. Now both villages had to retreat to elect their third leaders quickly to stabilize the situation. As soon as Senju Obirama heard the news, he ordered all Hidden Leaf Village ninjas to stop retreating and attack with full force. This was a perfect opportunity. Hidden Stones Village had lost its second Tsushikage, so it was unlikely they would help Hidden Clouds Village until a new Tsushikage was elected. Even then, Hidden Stones Village might experience internal strife. Obirama knew it would be foolish not to seize this chance. Hidden Clouds Village understood this too, so when Hidden Leaf Village advanced, they were already prepared. However, being prepared didn't guarantee victory. The war raged on for over a year, and Hidden Leaf Village finally secured its first substantial victory. However, the ninjas of Hidden Clouds Village retreated to the Land of Iron, which bordered Hidden Leaf Village in the northeast. The Land of Iron had no ninjas, only powerful samurai served as its combatants. Obirama wasn't foolish enough to pursue the fight in the Land of Iron. Offending the Iron Country's general would be a grave mistake. Instead, he greeted the general respectfully and withdrew. The Iron Country knew they were being used by Hidden Clouds Village, but they would never allow Hidden Leaf Village to wage war on their soil. The Iron Country took note of Hidden Clouds Village's actions and was sure to settle the score later. The news of Hidden Leaf Village's first victory spread quickly, and Uia immediately launched a public relations campaign. He made no mention of Hidden Leaf Village's previous defeat by Hidden Stones Village and Hidden Clouds Village or Hidden Mist Village's betrayal. Instead, he highlighted this recent victory. The next day, the Ninpo news was sold out, and the entire village of Hidden Leaf Village was filled with excitement. Uia took advantage of the moment by announcing a 20% discount at Hidden Leaf Village managed stores. This prompted a massive shopping spree, much to Uia's delight. He wasn't worried about people saving their money, he wanted them to spend it. Spending money boosts Hidden Leaf Village's GDP and increases economic circulation, something Uia understood well. The celebration lasted for a week. Not only did the people of Hidden Leaf Village party, but villagers from Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Village also flocked to Hidden Leaf Village for the shopping spree, although essentials like food and ninja tools were not discounted. Unlike the fake discounts of previous Life's Double 11 and Double 12 events, where prices were inflated before being discounted, Uia's discounts were real. Civilians were not treated as fools. As the shopping frenzy unfolded, Uia regretted not thinking of opening a department store sooner. But after reviewing Hidden Leaf Village's map, he realized that land was scarce. Without counting the settlements of the major clans, Hidden Leaf Village had little available space. Yuaya had already converted civilian houses from single-story buildings to 3- and 4-story ones to accommodate the growing population. This benefited the civilians, as they gained more living space without paying higher land prices. It also allowed Yuaya to recruit more people from outside the village. Still, with no space left for a large supermarket, Yuaya sighed. His ideas were good, but reality had a way of throwing unexpected challenges his way. He realized he'd have to wait for his uncle's return to discuss the issue further. Meanwhile, on the front lines, Tobirama kept the ninjas stationed there. An armistice hadn't been signed yet, and expecting the enemy not to launch a sneak attack would be foolish. Tobirama returned to Hidden Leaf Village with 2 companions, Kagami Uchiha and Sarutobi Hiruzen. Kagami Uchiha, the only Uchiha trusted by Tobirama, was someone the Hokage valued deeply, seeing him as the key to resolving the Uchiha clan's issues. On their way back, they came across a convoy of dozens of carriages outside Hidden Leaf Village's gate. Although Hidden Leaf Village's gate was wide, it couldn't accommodate so many carriages at once, and ninjas were stationed there to inspect the identities of those entering the village. Tobirama frowned. What are these people doing here? Although they appeared to be merchants, Tobirama knew they could easily be disguised foreign ninjas. He decided he would need to discuss this with Yuaya. Before the group could cross Hidden Leaf Village's walls, they were stopped by 4 ninjas from the Uchiha clan, each bearing the clan's fan symbol. Stop! Who dares to break into Hidden Leaf Village? Hokage-sama. The leader of the group looked embarrassed. Sorry, Hokage-sama. We've been on high alert recently due to an increase in spies and foreign ninjas attempting to infiltrate the village. Tobirama's interest was piqued. Spies and foreign ninjas, you say? Tell me more. Chapter 34 The Security Department is not on guard. In the original history, Senju Tobirama did not bring the Uchiha clan's large forces to the battlefield in the First Ninja War, but only Kagami Uchiha. This made the Uchiha clan feel that Senju Tobirama had never trusted them, which, of course, was true. It also foreshadowed Tobirama's eventual death, and the dissatisfaction of other clans with the third Hokage, who needed to focus on internal conflicts within the village. At the same time, because they did not participate in the First Ninja War, the strength of the Uchiha clan was preserved. They ended up with the largest number of ninja among the clans in Hidden Leaf Village, leading them to have thoughts they shouldn't have. After all, the security department, controlled by the Uchiha, was supposed to maintain order, but to Tobirama, they were merely tools. The work they did involved defending people. For example, a street fight might have started because of drinking, but the participants might not have had a bad relationship. However, according to regulations, those involved in street fights had to be imprisoned. The duration of the imprisonment didn't matter. Once someone was in custody, it left a bad impression on others. Yet the security department had no choice but to enforce these rules. Given the nature of the other clans in Hidden Leaf Village, it was impossible for Uchiha to arrest members of other ninja clans without the Hokage's authorization. So, when a ninja committed a minor crime like wrestling with friends after drinking, but Uchiha arrested them, it led to resentment. This contributed to the Uchiha's eventual rebellion in the original history. They weren't taken seriously, and their position of power seemed like a joke. However, things are different now. It's not that Yuaya values Uchiha more. If you want Yuaya to truly value the Uchiha clan, you would need to kill a few people and awaken the Mangekyō Sharingan. Then Yuaya would pay attention. Yuaya also uses the Uchiha's tools, but differently than Tobirama. Tobirama was worried about Uchiha's power growing too large, but to Yuaya, the Uchiha must handle all of Hidden Leaf Village's security. Why didn't you stop trouble in the commercial district? Did you complete the registration list I asked for? No. What if a spy from another village sneaks in? Ninjas from other countries would be foolish not to try to gather intelligence with all the movement in Hidden Leaf Village. They're nervous, and it's normal for them to make a move when they think they've been discovered. But from Yuaya's perspective, that's the security department's fault. Why weren't they detected before they infiltrated? The Uchiha clan is smart and proud, so they wouldn't claim they weren't responsible or that the village's defense wasn't their concern. After all, Yuaya handed them the responsibility for security, so aren't they responsible for village defense too? Should Anbu be left to handle all defense? In that case, why even have an Anbu? Just call them Hidden Leaf Village's janitor team. As a result, more security is needed throughout the village, including the Hokage's office, which must always be guarded. 3 teams rotate patrols there, a dozen ninja in total. Hidden Leaf Village's gates and walls also need protection, requiring about 40 people in rotating shifts. That's just for those 2 places. What about the commercial district? Without security, you'd see theft and robbery constantly. There are also visitors from Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Village. If anything happens there, it would be an international embarrassment. When Kagami Uchiha heard that enemy ninja injured people in the district he was patrolling, he turned pale. It was a disgrace. No one died, but several were injured. What shame. Is this the Uchiha clan that rivals the Senju clan? Couldn't even detect enemy spies? Such incidents led to more patrols in the commercial district, 4 teams in 3 shifts, adding more strain. Plus, with other areas to patrol, the Uchiha clan is stretched thin. Yuya also prioritized security at the new research institute, with orders allowing no unauthorized entry or exit. Not only did the Uchiha have to guard it, but 3 teams from the Hyuga clan were assigned as well. This shows its importance. The Uchiha clan naturally had to send personnel there. What about other facilities like steel mills or food processing plants? With villagers depending on canned meat at the end of the year, someone must guard those places too. In short, there's a shortage of Uchiha ninja for security duties recently. It's ironic that the Uchiha used to complain about being excluded, and now they realize they're struggling with their duties. Obirama Senju watched this unfold. His skepticism toward the Uchiha remained. He didn't trust them at all, and that hadn't changed. But because it was Yuya's decision, Obirama held back. The Uchiha squad leader awaited punishment, and Kagami Uchiha feared that Obirama's dislike of their clan would lead to harsh consequences. But to their surprise, Obirama merely frowned, patted the squad leader on the shoulder, and said, "Don't worry. Just keep patrolling, and make sure there are no more problems." Then he left. Kagami and the squad leader were both confused. Was this really the same Hokage who always targeted the Uchiha? In truth, Obirama didn't hold the Uchiha clan accountable for the failure. He never trusted them to begin with, so why would he blame them? From his perspective, this was simply business as usual. But from the Uchiha's point of view, things were different. Especially when, the next day, Obirama announced plans to build a factory in Uchiha territory, leaving them even more bewildered. Had Obirama been kidnapped? Chapter 35 These harmful things must be taken down. After Senju Obirama left, he climbed to a high vantage point. It was during this time that Yuya expressed his desire to construct a landmark building. The result was 2 twin buildings, each 10 stories high, located in the center of Hidden Leaf Village. In Yuya's previous life, one could argue that those who had faltered had little chance of standing tall again. However, in this world, these twin buildings would serve as a significant landmark. Within these buildings are the offices of various ninja clans in Hidden Leaf Village, a reflection of their jurisdiction granted by the village for assisting in its establishment. As Senju Obirama observed the bustling activity inside, he felt a sudden sense of nostalgia. Although he had seen some of Yuya's key decisions, he realized just how much Hidden Leaf Village had transformed in the past 2 years. The dirt roads had been paved into smooth stone paths. He had heard about Yuya's plans for something called cement roads. But he had no intention of getting involved. He preferred to let Yuya handle that. Looking around, Obirama marveled at the busy streets of Hidden Leaf Village, which thrived even in daylight. Shops owned by people from Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Village had begun to appear, each with their own offerings. While some areas were quieter during the day due to civilians working, it was said that the evening brought a lively atmosphere to those neighborhoods. Despite Yuya's complaints about a shortage of people, Obirama could not see any lack of activity in Hidden Leaf Village. He was satisfied with what he observed. His gaze fell upon a familiar gambling house, evoking memories of his elder brother, who had often frequented such places during his lifetime. But wait. Was that a child entering the gambling house? Obirama's expression darkened. Suddenly, a wave of anger surged from him, catching the attention of Sarutobe Hiruzen and Kagami Uchiha, who were standing nearby. They exchanged glances, both knowing Obirama's temper well. On that day, a cry rang out across Hidden Leaf Village. It was Senju Tsunade, the princess of the Senju clan and granddaughter of the legendary Hokage, Hashirama. Boom. The door to the Hokage's office burst open. Yuya, buried beneath a pile of documents, raised an eyebrow. He couldn't help but wonder who would dare kick down the Hokage's office door. Glancing up, he saw it was his uncle. Yuya. Senju Obirama's voice thundered as he struggled to contain his anger. I want you to drive those gambling houses out of Hidden Leaf Village. Yuya, still surprised, replied, What? Uncle, are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea how much that would cost? Obirama frowned, clearly annoyed. What do you mean? Yuya sifted through the clutter on his desk and produced a document, handing it to Obirama. This is the transaction tax and licensing fees those gambling houses paid last month. He explained that instead of a fixed monthly protection fee, he had implemented a 15% tax on transactions, allowing the gambling houses to operate openly while prohibiting them from offering loan services. If anyone attempted to lend money, they would face immediate inspection and expulsion. The gambling houses, after weighing their options, had agreed to the terms, and now Yuya's monthly income exceeded 10 million taels. Yuya couldn't help but smirk. Did they not understand that in order to profit from gambling, they first needed to build a customer base? He was aware that some gambling houses were already setting up illegal operations outside the village, disguised as informal lending services. But Yuya was prepared. The new regulations made it clear that no deferred payments or loans would be tolerated, and any violations would result in arrests. Thanks to this strategy, ordinary citizens in Hidden Leaf Village now had more money, while Yuya had closed off the exploitative practices that could ensnare them. Was this approach morally questionable? Perhaps, but Yuya felt justified. He believed that the gambling houses deserved such treatment. After a brief silence, Tobirama responded, "We still can't allow children in those places." Yuya, momentarily stunned, realized the gravity of the situation. "You're talking about Tsunade, aren't you?" Tobirama's anger flared again. That little brat said today was her first time going there. Yuya quickly reassured him, "Calm down. It may not be her first time, but I have people watching over her." Tobirama shot back, "And you let her go? Is this how you handle her safety after I entrusted her to you?" Yuya sighed, all right, it's my fault. I'll take care of the gambling dens tomorrow." Tobirama's expression softened. "Good. That's better." It was clear that Tobirama had been blinded by the significant revenue generated from the gambling houses. Since Hidden Leaf Village's founding, the village had never amassed such wealth. How could these establishments dare to profit so substantially off Hidden Leaf Village? Yuya sighed, knowing this would be the last time he could deal with the gambling houses effectively. They wouldn't dare return after this. With that in mind, he resolved to visit the Uchiha clan the following day. And there were still several other matters to attend to. Chapter 36 Then let me come the next day. Senju Tobirama took Yuya to visit the Uchiha clan. Compared to the past, when Senju Tobirama would see Uchiha ninjas everywhere whenever he came to their compound, the clan was much quieter now. Even so, Tobirama could still sense several pairs of eyes watching from the shadows. He sneered inwardly. So, the Uchiha still had some hidden strength within their clan? Humphrey, it only confirmed what Tobirama believed, Uchiha couldn't be trusted. The Uchiha clan leader, who succeeded Madara, came out to greet Tobirama. He had originally wanted to align with Hidden Leaf Village, but after Tobirama became Hokage, much of the Uchiha's power was stripped away. He had faced heavy criticism for this, and his respect for Tobirama was minimal. After all, he had once put his trust in Hidden Leaf Village, but Tobirama still didn't trust the Uchiha. "What brings you to the Uchiha clan today, Hokage-sama?" the clan leader asked in a calm tone. Tobirama remained unfazed and calmly took out a scroll. "This is a confidential mission for the Uchiha clan. The action must be swift, precise, and ruthless. No target should escape." As Tobirama finished, Yuya, who stood behind him, spoke softly, "Also, don't kill anyone. If you do, there will be no chance for negotiations later." The clan leader frowned. What did this young boy mean? Did the Uchiha need to be told how to handle things? At 13, Yuya had grown to nearly 1.6 meters tall and no longer appeared like a child, but a teenager. Tobirama paid no mind to the clan leader's reaction and simply echoed, "Yes, don't kill anyone. The Uchiha clan should be capable of that." The clan leader felt a surge of anger. Was Tobirama looking down on the Uchiha? "Of course. I assure you the mission will be completed," the clan leader replied in a deep voice. Tobirama nodded and then gestured toward Yuya. "This is one of my assistants in political affairs. He has some proposals he wishes to discuss with the Uchiha." The clan leader glanced at Yuya, frowning. "This? Yuya?" Yuya said with a grin. "My name is Yuya." The Uchiha leader nodded, suppressing his frustration. "Very well, young Yuya. What would you like to discuss?" Had Tobirama not been present, the clan leader would have walked away long ago. Yuya pulled out a stack of papers from his robes, selected two, and handed them to the Uchiha leader. The clan leader skimmed through the first document, his expression quickly changing. As he read the second, his frown deepened. Afterward, he handed the papers back to Yuya. Yuya looked puzzled. "Uncle, is there something you don't understand?" "It's all quite clear." The first document detailed the construction and use of water wheels. The second proposed building a water plant on Uchiha clan land, specifically near the Minagawa River, which flowed eastward through the Land of Fire and emptied into the sea. The river had a steady, powerful current, making it ideal for establishing a water plant. In Yuya's mind, these projects could bring the Uchiha substantial income. Building a large water wheel upstream to irrigate farmland would also win the favor of the common people. I believe the Uchiha should be ecstatic about these tailor-made plans. In fact, he half expected them to kneel in gratitude. But instead, the clan leader frowned even more. We will need to discuss these proposals within the clan before giving Hokage-sama a final answer. Rest assured, however, that we will complete the mission you've assigned. This was the final response Uchiha received. As he and Obirama left the Uchiha compound, Uchiha was deep in thought. Obirama, noticing his contemplative expression, smiled. Are you wondering why the Uchiha didn't immediately agree to such favorable terms? Uchiha frowned and nodded. Yes, it could bring them millions of taels in annual revenue. And while the water wheel plan mostly benefits the farmers, it would still earn the Uchiha goodwill. Why didn't they accept right away? Obirama sneered. Because they're the Uchiha. They don't believe anyone would offer them help out of kindness. Uchiha looked up at Obirama, his eyes gradually turning blank. Obirama frowned. Why are you staring at me like that? Uncle, I think I know why the Uchiha don't trust me. Oh? Why? Because you're terrifying. When they see you, they won't believe anything I say. You brat. Get back here. That day, Hidden Leaf Village made a decisive move. The police force, led by the Uchiha, dispatched 3 teams to arrest all the gambling house owners in the commercial district. Naturally, conflicts arose during the operation. However, the Uchiha, despite their diminished power, still had enough strength to handle the situation. Though some lost limbs in the clashes, no one died. Then Senju Obirama stepped in. Standing on the moral high ground, he produced Hidden Leaf Village's legal code and demanded the gambling house owners explain why they had violated the law. The owners tried to justify themselves, claiming they hadn't lent money, only collected transaction fees. The copper coins they had loaned were worth 100,000 taels, and the borrowers had taken them voluntarily. In response, Obirama publicly read the legal code in the middle of the commercial district, causing the owners to hang their heads in defeat. Afterward, Obirama waved his hand, expelling them. As for the hundreds of millions of taels seized from the 8 gambling houses, confiscated. The people who borrowed money from those gambling houses, they no longer had to repay it. Introducing Hidden Leaf Village's new gambling hub, the Golden City. But don't call it a gambling den, it's a government-backed establishment, fair and transparent. No cash allowed, only chips. After betting, you exchange your chips for money. No cash on the premises, no loans allowed, and minors are strictly forbidden. Oh, and those who owed money to the previous gambling houses? You still owe Hidden Leaf Village. You can work in the steel factories or do whatever you need to pay it back. If not, you'll pay with broken legs. After eliminating the private gambling dens, Obirama quickly turned around and established a state-run gambling center. Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Villages observed these events and followed suit, cracking down on illegal casinos while opening their own government-sanctioned gambling hubs. Unfortunately, neither village could match Hidden Leaf Village's scale. After all, Hidden Leaf Village attracted foreign visitors, while Hidden Sand Village and Hidden Mist Village could not. Meanwhile, the Uchiha clan remained indifferent to the changes outside their walls. They were in the middle of their 8th family meeting. Yes, after 8 days, they were still discussing whether to accept Uchiha's proposal. And they hadn't reached a decision yet. Chapter 37 Uchiha Mirror Insights. The Uchiha clan could argue for 8 straight days, holding discussions day and night, yet still failed to reach a conclusion. This was no surprise, given that opposition within their ranks was now dominant. In short, ever since Obirama had came to power, he had chilled the hearts of the Uchiha people for over 10 years. Many among them no longer trusted that Senju Obirama would grant the Uchiha clan any significant benefits. Even though Kagami Uchiha had promised repeatedly, and upon learning of Uchiha's plan was eager to assure everyone that the Uchiha would be responsible for executing it flawlessly, it didn't matter. While Kagami was favored by Obirama, within his own clan, many saw him as a coward and a traitor. He still had influence, but only among the moderates. Indeed, within the Uchiha clan, there was no longer a faction that completely aligned with Hidden Leaf Village. There were radicals who believed the Uchiha deserved more power and moderates who urged patience, suggesting that things should be negotiated slowly and carefully. The radicals didn't trust Obirama's intentions. Although the moderates were also doubtful, they believed that taking on the plan could yield some benefits. And even if it didn't, they might lose some resources, but they could finally give up on the Hokage. That, too, had its advantages. Only Kagami Uchiha had faith that Senju Obirama and Uchiha wouldn't betray the Uchiha clan, but most of his kin didn't share his optimism. Feeling disheartened, Kagami watched from the sidelines as the discussions within his family continued heatedly, but without any real progress. Seeking to clear his mind, Kagami decided to take his wife and their infant child out for a walk through the streets of Hidden Leaf Village. As he strolled and chatted with his wife, Masako, he felt his worries ease. Masako, carrying their baby daughter in her arms, smiled at Kagami and whispered, "I used to wish you could spend more time with me. Now that you're back, you're busy again with family matters. I know what you're like, but those in the clan don't. Why not set the family discussions aside for now and take a break? Didn't Hokage-sama give you a month's vacation?" Blushing slightly, Masako added softly, "I'd also love for you to go shopping with me on the commercial street." Though they were married and had a child, the Uchiha family, like many ninja clans, often focused on continuing the family line first. Love typically came after marriage and parenthood. Kagami agreed. He had been weighed down by many worries lately, and now was the perfect opportunity to relax. As they walked from the Uchiha compound toward the bustling commercial street, Kagami noted the contrast between the lively nighttime crowd and the near-deserted streets during the day. There are so few people here during the day, but it's always so lively at night. Kagami remarked, smiling. Masako responded with a soft smile, "Yes, everyone works during the day. We Uchiha do as well." A delicious smell filled the air, catching Kagami's attention. "Is that grilled skewers?" he asked, looking at a child by a stall. "Isn't that Tiaki? Doesn't his family sell pancakes?" Masako chuckled softly. Kagami laughed too. Okay, no need to tease me. I haven't been back in a year, and even since returning, I haven't been out much. How could I know everything?" Masako explained, "Tiaki's family used to sell pancakes, but now that people have more money, the demand has changed. Pancakes were cheap and filling, but they don't compare to grilled meat. Plus, when the city was renovated, every household was given a bit of space at their door for stalls. Tiaki's family set up a skewer stall, and their food is pretty good. Want to try some?" Kagami agreed, and as they approached the stall, the young Tiaki Uchiha eagerly asked, "Brother Kagami, would you like some skewers?" "Two, please," Kagami replied. Tiaki quickly handed over 2 skewers, asking for 100 ryo in total. After paying, Kagami overheard Tiaki calling to his mother inside, "Mom, I sold 2 skewers. Can I eat one now?" A voice from inside scolded, "Eat? You've already eaten everything we brought. Now get back to work." A woman then appeared, holding a slipper, but her demeanor changed instantly when she saw Kagami. "Oh, it's you, Kagami. When did you return?" She quickly ordered her son to grill more skewers for Kagami, insisting they were free of charge. But Kagami politely declined the offer. During their conversation, Kagami asked, "Why don't you and uncle live in the Uchiha compound anymore?" Ryoko, Tiaki's mother, waved her hand dismissively. "I couldn't stand the atmosphere there, people are always brooding and resentful. Since we moved here, we've been happier. Sure, it's tiring, but we sleep well and eat well. There's no one constantly telling you which side to take." Lowering her voice, she added, "But you can't tell anyone else I said that, alright?" Kagami assured her he wouldn't. He then asked, "Is everything going well here? Do you need any help?" Ryoko perked up, her face lighting up. "Yes. If you could tell the security department to stop patrolling through here so often, that'd be great. This is a street in the East District of Hidden Leaf Village, not just the entrance to the clan compound. Their constant rooftop patrols are bad for business." Kagami paused, then nodded. "I'll mention it." Before they left, Kagami asked if many Uchiha had moved to the area. Ryoko nodded enthusiastically, explaining that many had moved out of the compound and into more independent lives, working in factories and earning steady wages. As they walked away, Kagami felt a flash of realization. Yuya, Obirama's aide, wasn't targeting the Uchiha clan specifically. He was undermining the power of all ninja families in Hidden Leaf Village. Chapter 38 What Hidden Sand Village Ninja Hidden Leaf Village sees not everyone in a ninja family is a ninja. There are certainly ordinary people who don't practice the ninja arts. Some might even have the potential to become ninjas but choose not to, and you can't force them. These people become key targets for someone like Yuya. These non-ninja individuals are often responsible for supporting the clan in other ways, by farming, trading, or crafting, for instance, thus providing resources to sustain the ninja family. During the Warring States period, this system worked well. The ninjas protected the civilians, who in turn provided for the ninjas. However, in the current era of ninja villages, this model is no longer appropriate. Now, these civilians not only support their family but also the village. They're essentially taxed twice. Either they should stop paying the family, or they shouldn't be required to contribute to the village as well. Take the Saratobi, Hyuga, and Shimura families, for example. Hidden Leaf Village doesn't demand resources directly from them, but the required village taxes are still collected. However, there's always some negotiation over how much is given. This situation can't last forever. But, due to ongoing wars, like the unresolved conflict with Hidden Cloud's village, Tobirama-senju can't afford to escalate tensions with these families. He may just be taking mental notes for now. For instance, Tobirama remembers how, when Yuya came to collect supplies, many families didn't show much respect. Even though Yuya himself proposed the idea of recruiting, he represented Tobirama. It's frustrating for him. He helped raise tens of millions before, and now families act like they don't need to support him. Tobirama might keep a record of these things, but Yuya doesn't really care about these families. To him, a family is just a group of people with the same name banding together for protection. That's useful when facing an external threat, but Hidden Leaf Village isn't an enemy. Yuya has many ways to break up these families if he needs to, but he's chosen a slower, less confrontational approach. Kagami Uchiha recently noticed that many non-ninja members of the Uchiha clan have been quietly moving into Hidden Leaf Village's urban areas. While the Uchiha clan faces significant internal issues, it's not unique in this regard. Other clans also exploit the non-ninja members of their families. It's just a matter of degree. Over time, members of these clans will likely follow the same path as the Uchihas, moving into the city and away from their clan compounds. Kagami Uchiha knows he can't stop this. The sense of community that clans offer will become their only real benefit, and even that will start to lose appeal. Hidden Leaf Village can provide the same security and opportunities, especially with so many jobs available. Factories in Hidden Leaf Village are desperate for workers. Some machines sit idle because there aren't enough people to operate them. For many civilians, life in Hidden Leaf Village's city offers a much better future than life within their clan. Uchiha members, in particular, find life outside the clan several times better. There are no clan elders knocking on their doors, demanding they take up grievances against Hidden Leaf Village or collect monthly dues. Outside the clan, they still enjoy the same protection provided by the Hidden Leaf Village police force, which is run by the Uchiha clan, but they don't have to give anything up. So why wouldn't they leave? Kagami Uchiha accepts this reality. He isn't the leader of the Uchiha clan, and truthfully, he doesn't mind if some Uchiha members leave. Life is better for them now, after all, so why disrupt Yuya's plans? Kagami also realizes that Yuya is quite different from Tobirama. While Tobirama is widely regarded for his mastery of ninjutsu, Yuya's strength lies in his political and strategic maneuvering, which Kagami finds unsettling. Yuya has been cutting away at the power of the ninja families little by little, without much resistance. While Kagami is convinced of Yuya's abilities, it remains to be seen whether Sarutobi Hiruzen or Shimura Danzo are on the same page. For now, Kagami puts his worries aside, enjoying a shopping trip with his wife. The commercial street is lively, and the atmosphere is far more welcoming than the shops in Hidden Mist Village. The Hidden Sand Village siblings who run the only store from their village in Hidden Leaf Village are particularly enthusiastic. Hidden Leaf Village's size and development fascinate visitors, including ninjas from other villages like Hidden Sand Village. They've observed that Hidden Leaf Village has paved stone roads, smooth and polished, whereas Hidden Sand Village still struggles with dirt and gravel paths that become a muddy mess when it rains. Water is so scarce in Hidden Sand Village that even skilled water-style ninjas are rare and valuable. Despite their struggles, Hidden Sand Village ninjas are in awe of Hidden Leaf Village's rapid development. Factories keep the village bustling during the day, and at night, the city comes alive with entertainment, dining, and even an official gambling house. Observers from Hidden Sand Village marvel at how Hidden Leaf Village continues to expand, with construction projects everywhere and talk of new bridges, roads, and even water plants. The ninjas from Hidden Sand Village can't help but wonder, how much wealth does Hidden Leaf Village have to fuel all this? Chapter 39 Can't Live Without You. Senju Tobirama was stunned after hearing the news. He cautiously asked, "Is there a river in Hidden Sand Village?" The ninja from Hidden Sand Village shook his head. "No. What does that have to do with anything?" Tobirama was speechless. "No river, and you want to build a water plant?" The sand ninja bid farewell to Tobirama, disappointed. After seeing them off, Tobirama called for Yuya. Although Yuya was officially his secretary, their relationship was more like that of an elder and junior rather than superior and subordinate. "It's amusing that Hidden Sand Village wants to build a water plant," Tobirama said with a chuckle. Yuya, however, didn't laugh. Instead, he pulled out a map of the Land of Wind and sighed. "Actually, it's not a bad idea." Tobirama blinked in surprise and looked at Yuya suspiciously. "What are you talking about? There's no river in Hidden Sand Village. How could they build a water plant?" Yuya pointed to a location in the northeast of the Land of Wind. "This borders the Land of Rain. There's a large river running across the Land of Rain and into the Land of Wind." Tobirama leaned in to take a closer look. "But that's hundreds of kilometers from Hidden Sand Village." Yuya drew a line on the map. They could divert water from the north to the southern villages. The project would be large and might take several years, even up to a decade. Plus, the river's upper reaches are controlled by both the land of wind and the land of rain, but it's still better than the current situation where people die of thirst every year. Obirama stared at the map, frowning as he thought it over. Divert water from the land of rain to the land of wind. Just to supply a hidden sand village? At first glance, it seemed impossible. But as he thought about it more deeply, Tobirama realized it might actually be feasible. He stayed silent for a long time, while Yuya took the opportunity to catch up on some sleep. After Tobirama fully grasped the plan's potential, a smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. He didn't wake Yuya. Instead, he sought out the hidden sand village ninja to relay Yuya's idea. Initially, the hidden sand village leader found the plan absurd, even thinking Tobirama was a fool. But after a moment of contemplation, he realized the plan was actually possible. Why hadn't they thought of this before? The leader quickly grew excited and repeatedly thanked Tobirama. Tobirama smiled mysteriously and responded, "There's no need to thank Hidden Leaf Village. Our villages have been allies for generations. Although, strictly speaking, their villages were only established a little over a decade ago, so generations was a stretch." After thanking Tobirama, the Hidden Sand Village leader hurried back to his village. Although Hidden Leaf Village had proposed the idea, it was up to Hidden Sand Village to implement it. The sooner they returned, the sooner the project could start, and the sooner Hidden Sand Village could solve its water crisis. Returning to his office in high spirits, Tobirama was greeted by a wide-awake Yuya, who looked at him with his usual deadpan expression. "Uncle, you used my plan to talk to the people from Hidden Sand Village, didn't you?" Tobirama grinned. "That's right. And I gave them the plan free of charge." "What, are you confused?" Yuya tilted his head. "What's there to be confused about? You're just shifting the burden, watching from a distance, and using someone else's resources. It's not hard to understand." Tobirama's smile faded as he returned to his usual stern expression. "Oh? And what's the point of telling me this?" Yuya sighed. "Even if the project is successful, all Hidden Sand Village will get is a north-south water diversion. They'll stop losing people to thirst, but it won't improve their combat strength. Plus, Kazekage will be forced to pour manpower, resources, and attention into the project. It's too big of a deal for them to ignore, and they'll have to see it through no matter the cost." Tobirama nodded. "That's true. Not only will Kazekage want to secure his legacy, but this project will also determine Hidden Sand Village's future. There's no way they'll abandon it." Yuya continued, "This means Hidden Sand Village won't have the energy to focus on Hidden Leaf Village's conflicts with Hidden Clouds Village. Even if we've signed agreements, there's no guarantee that Hidden Sand Village wouldn't eventually get greedy and attack us. But this project will keep them busy for years, buying us time to deal with other threats. And even after the project succeeds, the amount of water they receive will depend on the whims of the Land of Rain and the daimyo of the Land of Wind." Yuya added. "Kazekage wouldn't dare offend the daimyo, but the Land of Rain? Well, their abundance of rain is exactly what Hidden Sand Village craves." Yuya shook his head. "This is all a brilliant setup. Hidden Sand Village will be forced into conflict with the Land of Rain just to maintain their water supply, and we in Hidden Leaf Village will sit back and watch." With that, Yuya gave Tobirama a thumbs up. Tobirama could only marvel at how his young subordinate had seen through the entire plot so effortlessly. "Uncle, you're really devious," Yuya remarked with a smirk. Tobirama didn't think of it that way. Yuya had already articulated every possible outcome, even predicting the future conflict between Hidden Sand Village and the Land of Rain, something Tobirama hadn't fully considered. Suddenly, Tobirama felt a bit overshadowed. Had he, the mentor, lost his edge to this cunning young strategist? Yuya raised his head again and said, "By the way, since I gave you this idea, shouldn't I get something in return?" Tobirama's previous irritation melted away. After a brief cough, he asked, "What do you want?" "Teach me Genjutsu," Yuya immediately said, raising his hand. Tobirama shook his head. "You're not suited for it. Genjutsu requires a significant amount of time and focus to master. Your talent is better spent elsewhere." It's worth noting that Tobirama had very high standards. Growing up beside the ninja god Hashirama, his expectations were naturally elevated. In reality, Yuya's talents were quite good, maybe not genius level, but still impressive. Tobirama looked at Yuya calmly. "Instead of wasting time on Genjutsu, it's better to focus on helping Hidden Leaf Village grow. Hidden Leaf Village can survive without me, but it can't survive without you." Tobirama sighed deeply. Hidden Leaf Village had entered a period of rapid development, and it was largely thanks to Yuya's efforts. "Uncle, that's a bit disgusting, you know. You little brat. I'm going to beat you today." Chapter 40 Uchiha, What about a water plant as big as mine? In the end, Senju Tobirama was ready to teach Hyuga a life-saving skill, the soul confinement jutsu. Simply put, this ninjutsu enables one soul to remain within the body even if the physical form dies. If the body is revived within this period, life can be restored. During the Fourth Ninja War, Tobirama would use this technique to save Sasuke's life. However, at this point, Tobirama is teaching Hyuga purely for self-protection. Hyuga's combat ability easily surpasses most of his peers, like the talented members of the Uchiha and Hinata clans. However, when facing shadow-level combat power, he's still at a disadvantage. For Tobirama, Hyuga is the ideal successor to the third Hokage, and he anticipates that Hyuga will face serious threats in the future. So, an additional life-saving skill is always valuable. Meanwhile, in the Uchiha clan, tension is building. Word has spread throughout the village about the recent plans involving the clan and Hyuga. For ordinary Hidden Leaf village civilians, the establishment of a water plant in the Uchiha district is of little concern, they're too occupied with work to pay it much mind. But the other ninja families feel differently. In their view, Hidden Leaf village's decision to build a water plant for the Uchiha clan seems reasonable, given the clan's proximity to the Minamika River, which provides a natural advantage. Yet, they question, if the Uchiha clan gets a water plant, what about us? We're ninja families too. Shouldn't we receive equal treatment? Many families also have members working under the Hokage, so they expect to be taken care of as well. Senju Tobirama is frustrated. The purpose of this water plant is to lay water pipes throughout Hidden Leaf village, allowing every household to access running water. This way, residents won't need to pay exorbitant prices to water vendors. With a simple twist of the faucet, they'll have water on demand. Other families will benefit as well since the water lines extend to everyone's homes. So why the fuss? Tobirama is puzzled, but Hyuga understands the family's motives. He advises Tobirama to ask these families if they're seeking compensation, and as expected, several indicate they'd like dividends from the steel plant. While the steel plant refines raw materials into molten iron, a labor-intensive but profitable endeavor, iron ore mining is relatively inexpensive with ninja abilities. Often, no explosive tags are required, a fire-style jutsu can heat the rock, and a water-style jutsu can shape it. The finished products, however, are valuable. A standard kitchen knife costs 500 ryo, while high-quality ones can be double that. Custom orders, such as silver mixed kitchen knives for high-end restaurants, fetch tens of thousands of ryo. While the Hokage's office formally owns these restaurants, they help cover the salaries of office clerical workers, which benefits Hidden Leaf village's economy. Hyuga's involvement isn't a misuse of resources but a matter of efficient financial management. The Jonin's monthly salaries alone amount to nearly 10 million ryo, a non-negotiable expense. Although Hyuga is managing some governmental affairs, he uses Tobirama as an intermediary to avoid overstepping his authority, ensuring Tobirama is aware of all actions. Hyuga has future ambitions and aims to set a respectful precedent for successors. Though Tobirama remains unaware, Hyuga often uses him as a scapegoat. As Hyuga sees it, Tobirama's economic policies justify tapping into other countries' wealth to support Hidden Leaf village, while keeping his own reputation untarnished. This ambition reflects the resolve of a future Hokage who wants his legacy remembered for its integrity. Unaware of Hyuga's plan to hold him accountable in history, Tobirama is currently infuriated. Many of these families now demanding a share had previously shown little interest in collaboration. Yet, seeing the benefits Uchiha might receive, they've suddenly stepped forward, seeking equal treatment. Hyuga, however, remains unfazed. He knows people's interests change when wealth is involved, and he doesn't buy into Hidden Leaf village's ideology of will of fire as more than a slogan. He believes that when faced with a choice between lofty ideals and practical needs, he'll always choose the latter without hesitation. Seeing the other family's objections, Tobirama turns to Hyuga for guidance. Hyuga suggests a bold approach. The ironworks were constructed 2 years ago by Hidden Leaf village's merchants, at a cost of 10 million ryo. Why should these families be entitled to it? If they insist, we can abandon plans to build the water plant entirely, while making sure that everyone in Hidden Leaf village knows about it. Initially surprised, Tobirama soon agrees, acknowledging that some families need to be kept in check. So, he arranges for an announcement stating that due to objections from the Sarutobi, Shimura, and other families, the Uchiha water plant project has been cancelled. As a result, residents will continue buying water from vendors. The news shocks Hidden Leaf village's residents, and for the first time, these families feel the weight of public opinion against them. Later generations would document this incident as a decision made solely by Tobirama, while Hyuga, the future third Hokage, was portrayed as a selfless leader, albeit one who had studied under a cunning mentor. Tobirama, in history, would be seen as the mastermind behind numerous strategic decisions. While Yui's image as an honorable Hokage remained unblemished. Back in the present, the Uchiha clan is reeling from the announcement, "Where is our water plant? What happened to the water plant that was promised?" Hidden Leaf Village's infrastructure would eventually advance, as seen by the time Naruto lived in the village, with homes equipped with refrigerators, running water, and electricity. Although Naruto's expired milk was his own doing, it shows that Hidden Leaf Village's basic amenities were quite developed. Even Naruto, on a modest allowance, managed to get by, indicating that Hidden Leaf Village had established an impressive economy by that time. Considering the state of the village during Naruto's era, the third Hokage's fiscal policies may have been quite effective, even if others within the Hokage's office played a role. Chapter 41 Spring of the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, Reckless. Ninja School Incident. When the teacher arrived at the ninja school today, he noticed several students sitting alone. They were children of the Sarutobi, Shimura, Hinata, and Inuzuka families, who preferred to squeeze in with others rather than sit next to these classmates. The teacher frowned. "What's going on here? Go back to your seats. At your age, forming cliques and isolating classmates is unacceptable. You're all friends in the same class. What's the matter?" A student stood up, visibly trembling. "But, teacher, it's because of them that the water pipes in our homes aren't working anymore. My mother has to carry buckets to fetch water from a faraway point every day." As one child spoke up, others followed suit. In Hidden Leaf Village, there are water fetching points in each of the 4 urban districts. However, these points are fixed locations, and some families are too lazy to carry buckets that far, opting instead to buy water from mobile vendors who sell it for convenience. This water was once clean, but it has now become polluted by industrial activities. With many people flocking to the water fetching points, long lines have become the norm, prompting some to prefer purchasing water instead. Despite having a bit of money, many refuse to pay for water and still choose to go fetch it themselves. Water pipes had been laid 2 years ago during the first phase of reconstructing the urban areas, but the water treatment plant had yet to be built, leaving many residents without a reliable water supply. Senju Tobirama, the teacher, admired his nephew for foreseeing future plans that he himself couldn't have devised. Originally, homes built 2 years ago were promised water connections, but this plan fell through. Naturally, people were upset about this situation. In Yui's eyes, the selfish obstruction by a few families had harmed the interests of most Hidden Leaf Village residents. Denying someone their basic needs feels almost like a personal attack. Adults fear the ninja families, not wanting to jeopardize their relationships, but children are more straightforward. If someone doesn't want to play with you, they simply don't want to play with you. Kids value honesty and don't engage in complex intrigues. The teacher had no choice but to educate the students against such behavior. In fact, he shared their resentment towards those families. If it weren't for them, he might soon have access to running water. People tend to remain indifferent until their own interests are threatened. This is reminiscent of the saying, "Why are you willing to donate $1 million but not a cow?" The reality hits hard when personal stakes are involved. However, children are innocent. Regardless of the teacher's frustrations, he couldn't lash out at them. The situation in the ninja school mirrored the broader context in Hidden Leaf Village. While adults worked during the day, they couldn't help but complain about the ninja families. The Ninpo News, published once or twice a week, had become a popular source of entertainment, with many making it a habit to grab a copy while passing newsstands. Today, the first headline in the Ninpo News sparked outrage among the villagers. But what could they do? They needed to keep working. Meanwhile, the Uchiha clan found themselves in a perplexing situation. They were still debating whether to accept Senju Tobirama's proposal, with radicals and conservatives quarreling over the issue. However, the latest news forced them to reevaluate. The demands from other families regarding the construction of a factory for the Uchiha clan no longer seemed viable. The Uchiha clan was furious. Yet, they found themselves powerless. They had been in discussions for over a week without receiving a response from the opposing families, who were now protesting. What could they do? Ultimately, the Uchiha clan had to let go of their ambitions for the water plant and settle on repairing the water wheel upstream of the Nanga River. Senju Tobirama, known for his ability to irrigate farmland, wouldn't allow the Uchiha clan to halt their training. The Uchiha were aware that refusing to cooperate would only invite further scorn from the people of Hidden Leaf Village. So, they begrudgingly agreed to the repairs, realizing there were benefits for them in doing so. Despite the cancellation of the water plant, the Uchiha clan's radicals felt a deep embarrassment over the situation. The proposed water plant, vital for the water supply of hundreds of thousands in Hidden Leaf Village, required significant investment. Kagami Uchiha, feeling aggrieved but with no other option, eventually approached Senju Tobirama. After a long silence, Tobirama sighed and confirmed that construction of the water plant would begin the next day. Yuya noted that Kagami looked ashamed but understood the limitations imposed by his clan's name. The construction of the water plant went swiftly, and when water finally flowed into Hidden Leaf Village, the excitement was palpable. For Yuya, this was merely a routine matter, but for the majority of Hidden Leaf Village's residents, it was a momentous occasion. As time progressed into the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, an unexpected event occurred. After the deaths of both the Mizukage and Tsuchikage, Hidden Leaf Village had to respond, though Yuya chose to send only standard condolences to both villages. He also inquired whether the Tsuchikage was interested in joining Hidden Leaf Village as shopping street, given the Earth Kingdom's agricultural potential. However, the two nations seemed embroiled in their own internal disputes over who would become the next Kage. Yuya decided to ignore them, prioritizing his village's development. In the spring of Hidden Leaf Village's 19th year, the Raikage sent envoys to propose a truce. Senju Tobirama, uninterested in stopping hostilities, was ready to continue fighting, but Yuya intervened, suggesting that Hidden Leaf Village focus on self-development. The stronger Hidden Leaf Village became, the better position they would be in future dealings. Ultimately, Senju Tobirama agreed with Yuya's perspective and offered a condition: the war could cease, but the Raikage must come to Hidden Leaf Village to sign the armistice treaty. If not, the fighting would persist. Furious, the Raikage continued hostilities against Hidden Leaf Village in the spring of the 19th year. Although the other villages like Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Stones Village chose not to intervene, Hidden Sand Village was focused on its own north-south water diversion project and remained uninvolved. Union felt compelled to maintain their reputation and persist in battling Hidden Leaf Village. And so, the conflict continued, with reckless determination. Chapter 42. Do you need money or enough supplies? Hidden Clouds Village couldn't advance even a single step. It wasn't because Hidden Leaf Village's front line suddenly erupted but because Hidden Leaf Village had a relentless strategy. Are you coming? If not, we'll toss some explosive tugs your way. Did they break through the defense? Planning to attack? Well, get ready to face our fortress-like defense. The main theme was simple: patience. And with Senju Tobirama back in Hidden Leaf Village, front-line command was left to the cautious Shimura Danzo and others, who were content to employ a turtle tactic, taking no action to avoid any mistakes. This approach was practical. After all, seeing Hidden Leaf Village as fortified defenses and Earth-style barriers that were essentially traps, the ninjas of Hidden Clouds Village weren't reckless enough to rush in. So, the two sides found themselves locked in a tense, unproductive standoff. A few test charges were quickly bombed back. Hidden Clouds Village's troops, frustrated, wondered how Hidden Leaf Village managed to get their hands on so many explosive tags. In reality, they didn't have as many as it seemed. But thanks to Yuya's suppliers, explosive tags were sold in bulk, 1,000 per bundle at 5 million ryo, with a bulk discount available. Now, Hidden Leaf Village could even use local food products and drinks to trade for explosive tags and other ninja tools. If you bought in bulk, Yuya's canned food and drinks even came with a 10% discount. Of course, in wartime, some things simply had to be purchased. Buying a bundle of explosive tags each month was essential. After all, why give up on profit? Some ninja families grumbled about the supply chain, as they too started selling explosive tags. While they weren't selling drinks, canned goods were a quick profit. Take canned fish and meat, for instance, each can sold for 150 ryo, and drinks went for 100 ryo. The prices didn't seem high at first, right? But in Hidden Leaf Village's shopping district, these items flew off the shelves the moment they were stocked, and restocking barely kept up with demand. Meanwhile, explosive tags collected dust. Sure, there was money to be made in wartime, but what would happen when the war ended? With ninja news spreading fast, everyone knew Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Village weren't joining the fight, but that only boosted their own sales in Hidden Leaf Village. And canned fish and drinks? They weren't just profitable, they were a goldmine. That strange, fizzy black drink that made you burp became oddly addictive. At first, people were put off, but soon, many found they needed their daily fix. The store implemented a one bottle per person policy, but stock still sold out instantly. Some even resold bottles at 110 ryo, earning a small profit. How was this even explainable? Rumor had it the food processing plant planned to expand production. The profits seemed set to soar. Hidden Leaf Village's economic landscape was changing, and people wondered how much Senju Tobirama was raking in. Currently, Tobirama, with his characteristic red eyes, was practically shouting at Yuya, "What's the deal? I asked you for 100 million ryo, but the supplies you approved total more than that." Yuya, examining the paperwork, nodded at the final figure. "It's correct. Just let me know if you want the supplies. I won't give you the cash, but supplies are no problem." Tobirama gritted his teeth. Can't I have some cash for the frontline ninjas? Who cares about supplies? Yuya smirked. Uncle, don't say that. Those muscleheads in Hidden Clouds Village definitely want supplies too. Either way, I'm not giving you cash directly. I can supply goods, but no cash. Obirama, exasperated, asked, why can't I just have the cash? Yuya raised an eyebrow. Is the war over? No. Would you request cash again after this? Of course. Even more money will be needed once the war is over. Yuya rolled his eyes, then quickly explained inflation. After some thought, Tobirama replied, so, you're saying if I circulate too much money, prices will go up. But wouldn't we just earn more that way? With a sigh, Yuya dismissed Obirama. If this time it was 100 million, next time would be 200 million, and if another large payout happened after the war, the market would be flooded, driving prices to unsustainable heights. If Hidden Leaf Village's economy was to avoid collapse, cash payouts weren't an option. The standard currency unit in the Naruto world is the Ryo. Both paper money and copper coins exist. The 5 great nations, fire, earth, wind, water, and lightning, add their respective symbols on Ryo notes to signify their country of origin. Meanwhile, other countries use the generic Ryo without national markings, accepted internationally with a 1-to-1 exchange rate with the marked currency. However, if a smaller nation overprinted its Ryo and destabilized its economy, the 5 great nations would adjust the exchange rate or refuse to accept unmarked currency. Economists in the Naruto world recognized the dangers of unrestricted printing and took preventive measures. But, without formal training, Obirama had gaps in his understanding. Hidden Leaf Village could print money, but Yuya knew the risks and chose not to abuse this power. Until Hidden Leaf Village's population grew substantially, printing wasn't a viable option. After being kicked out, Tobirama returned shortly, wearing a sheepish grin as he asked, couldn't you spare some of the profit? Yuya rolled his eyes, pulled out a stack of paperwork from the Uchiha estate, and handed Tobirama 2 sheets. Tobirama took them, skimming the pages with a frown as he read the titles: estimated cost for building Hidden Leaf Village's first hospital for citizens, estimated cost for building Hidden Leaf Village's first public school. Each listed the necessary materials, construction plans, land clearances, resident compensation, salaries for doctors and teachers, annual student enrollments, and timelines, total costs running into countless Ryo. Obirama's face fell. Handing the pages back, he walked away wordlessly, only to return moments later, saying, forget the cash. Just send the supplies to the front lines without cutting corners. Yuya's lips curled into a satisfied smile, point made. A few days later, just as Obirama was about to return to the front to face off against Hidden Clouds Village's forces, a delegation from Hidden Stones Village of the Earth Country arrived. Their mission was clear: brother, take us with you. Chapter 43 Four-Nation Business Alliance. Senju. Obirama was puzzled. Has your Hidden Stones Village decided on the selection of the 3rd Tsuchikage? A strong man named Red Earth from Hidden Stones Village replied in a firm, even tone, actually, the village is still deliberating. But everyone agrees that making money doesn't conflict with the selection of the 3rd Tsuchikage. Although there was past conflict with your Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Mist Village nearly killed a group of Hidden Leaf Village shinobi in a sneak attack, so there is no deep hatred between us. There's no harm in discussing money when it's appropriate. Everyone listening to Yuya was taken aback. No, brother, are you really this straightforward? Red Earth continued, unaffected, our priority in Hidden Stones Village is honesty. Previously, Hidden Clouds Village paid us to fight for them, so we did. Now, if you bring benefits to our Hidden Stones Village, we'll set aside our disputes to cooperate with you. Senju. Obirama didn't dwell on it too much. Hidden Stones Village's willingness to refrain from interfering in the upcoming war between Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village was good news, so he agreed. Yuya also concurred, it wasn't easy for someone to come all the way from Hidden Stones Village. A peaceful relationship would benefit both villages. Then, Yuya realized an issue. There was no dedicated space in Hidden Leaf Village for hosting foreign guests. It seemed like this had never been a priority before. After some thought, Yuya noted this down in a small notebook. Hidden Leaf Village would surely expand the outer city in the future, but while smaller villages could stay in the outer city, inviting dignitaries from major villages to stay there would feel disrespectful, almost embarrassing for Hidden Leaf Village's image. However, looking at Hidden Leaf Village's inner city, there really wasn't any more space to convert into lodging for foreign guests. The only option. Yuya's gaze fell on a mansion he'd lived in for the past few years, where his wife currently resided. He shook his head. No, he wouldn't move from here. Yuya knew that Uzumaki Maito wouldn't refuse if he asked, but he couldn't bring himself to request such a sacrifice. Rather than Uzumaki Maito compromising her own space, it might be better. Yuya then turned his thoughts to other clan territories in Hidden Leaf Village's inner city. The Uchiha clan's area was too remote and unsuitable for a guest house. The most appropriate option was definitely the Hyuga clan. This clan's territory was located in the northwest of Hidden Leaf Village and occupied about 1/20th of the inner city, smaller than the Uchihas, but much closer to Hidden Leaf Village's core. Still, it wasn't the right time to acquire land. With the muscular hotheads from Hidden Cloud's village not having signed a peace treaty yet, provoking internal conflict within Hidden Leaf Village wasn't wise. Shaking off these thoughts, Senju Tobirama took Yuya to the conference room to discuss the cooperation with Red Earth from Hidden Stone's village. After Red Earth handed the proposal document to Tobirama, Tobirama opened it, and his expression immediately darkened. He glared at Red Earth and said, "Does Hidden Stone's village really intend to cooperate with Hidden Leaf Village? This looks like wishful thinking." Red Earth kept a blank expression. Hidden Stone's village values integrity. If Hidden Leaf Village isn't interested, there's nothing more to say. From behind Tobirama, Yuya could see that the terms were relatively straightforward. Hidden Stone's village requested a loan of 1 billion ryo from Hidden Leaf Village, to be repaid over 10 years with an interest rate of 1.5% per year, amounting to 50 million ryo annually. In addition, Hidden Leaf Village was invited to invest in building factories in Hidden Stone's village and could trade iron ore and other resources from the Land of Earth. Hidden Stone's village would offer 20% of its output to Hidden Leaf Village for the first 3 years and remove tariffs on commercial exchanges, allowing free trade. Hidden Leaf Village's goods would also be sold at base prices in Hidden Stone's village. Essentially, these terms were similar to the treaty Hidden Leaf Village had with Hidden Mist Village. Strictly speaking, Yuya found these terms fair. However, Senju Tobirama doubted that Hidden Stone's village would honor the repayment of a 1 billion ryo loan and was skeptical of the low interest rate, thinking it should be at least 10%. Tobirama's immediate instinct was to refuse. Yuya coughed, and Tobirama turned to him. "Do you have something to say?" Yuya nodded. At this point, Red Earth noticed Yuya and asked curiously, "Who is this?" Yuya replied, "I'm simply an assistant under the Hokage-sama, not worth noting." Red Earth nodded. It was customary for a trusted young man to study alongside a village leader, signifying his trustworthiness. Yuya whispered a few words to Senju Tobirama. After thinking it over, Tobirama turned to Red Earth. "I'll review these terms and get back to you." Red Earth nodded. "I leave it to you, Hokage." But felt doubtful, prepared to wait in Hidden Leaf Village for a response before returning to Hidden Stone's village. After Red Earth left, Senju Tobirama and Yuya discussed the terms. Yuya believed that Hidden Leaf Village could loan 1 billion ryo. But Tobirama still doubted Hidden Stone's village's commitment to repay it on time. Helpless, Yuya realized that Tobirama didn't grasp economic warfare. The 1 billion ryo wouldn't be lent unconditionally. Hidden Stone's village should offer collateral. The Land of Earth was rich in minerals, unlike the Land of Wind, where resources were controlled by the wealthy daimyo. The daimyo of the Land of Earth understood that a strong village ensured peace for the nation and heavily subsidized Hidden Stone's village with sufficient annual funds, preventing starvation, unlike the Land of Wind. Yuya's target was the mineral resources of the Land of Earth. Unfortunately, Tobirama showed little interest in this proposal, thinking that even if Hidden Stone's village offered collateral, they'd refuse payment once Hidden Leaf Village attempted to collect, resulting in empty hands for Hidden Leaf Village. Yuya hinted that if Hidden Stone's village defaulted, Hidden Leaf Village's economic strategy could cause their business reputation to plummet, discouraging merchants from trading in the Land of Earth, ultimately benefiting Hidden Leaf Village. However, he couldn't say this outright. Thus, he proposed an alternative plan, loaning 100 million per year over 10 years, with Hidden Stone's village providing equivalent food and resources or offering ninjutsu scrolls to Hidden Leaf Village at a 20% markup over market price. Given this condition, any sensible future Sushi Kage would avoid exchanging ninjutsu for cash. Tobirama found this plan reasonable. "Why didn't you propose this earlier instead of that nonsense?" Yuya sighed and, after their discussion, went to a small gold mine he'd previously discovered to extract a few hundred kilograms of gold as extra wealth. At 13, Yuya had plenty of time. He'd pace himself. In total, he'd amassed over a ton of gold. Though it seemed substantial, if compacted, it would form a cube just under 40 centimeters on each side, easily fitting into a suitcase. Yuya mused that carrying a ton of gold could even become a unique way to train his abilities. The next day, in the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, Tobirama found Red Earth and proposed a revised loan plan of 100 million per year, with Hidden Stone's village providing resources as collateral. Red Earth was surprised but pleased. Hidden Leaf Village actually agreed? Their initial intentions had never been to default. Reflecting, Red Earth thought, Hidden Leaf Village must want to keep us out of their conflict with Hidden Cloud's village. On that day, Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Stones Village, Hidden Sand Village, and Hidden Mist Village formed a business alliance. Reportedly, the second Rukongai of Hidden Clouds Village was so furious that he destroyed his office. Chapter 44 What's going on? After settling a significant matter like the Four Kingdoms Alliance, Senju Dobirama confidently left the village affairs in the hands of Yuya and went to the front line. Before departing, he also took Sarutobi Hiruzen and Kagami Uchiha with him. When Yuya went to see him off, he couldn't shake the feeling that Kagami Uchiha was being unusually polite towards him, even hinting at a sense of respect. What was happening here? Kagami Uchiha was over 10 years older than Yuya, he could even be called uncle. Despite his bafflement at Kagami Uchiha's demeanor, Yuya remained steadfast in his plans for the Uchiha clan. After the water plant was established, the Uchiha clan would earn several million taels annually from collecting water fees. They would be responsible for collecting the fees themselves, paying a portion to Hidden Leaf Village as taxes while keeping the remainder. However, the water plant was short-staffed. The Uchiha clan, which once had members wandering about daily, now found that everyone wanted to split into two shadow clones to keep up with demand. This, of course, doubled their fatigue levels. Overexertion could lead to serious consequences, so Yuya decided against pushing them too hard. With the water plant in place, the news of the income Yuya had promoted among Hidden Leaf Village's businessmen began to spread. Soon, a small ninja family arrived at Hidden Leaf Village, having heard that newcomers would receive land and food. However, the food was not given freely, they were required to pay it back over 3 to 5 years. This policy was not very attractive, and typically only those who were genuinely desperate would come. Unfortunately, there were indeed ninja families in the smaller countries surrounding Hidden Leaf Village that were struggling to survive. With over 100 people in their clan and only 3 ninjas, at most equivalent to Hidden Leaf Village's Chunin level, many would become slaves if they remained outside. In search of survival, this clan made the journey to Hidden Leaf Village, hoping that the village would provide for them as promised. Yuya was naturally pleased by this development. Although he knew the conditions he offered were not appealing to families that could truly survive, the arrival of these new faces signaled a turning point. With the first family having arrived, Yuya anticipated that more would follow. He was satisfied with the progress. Moreover, Yuya's announcement served a secondary, darker purpose. Hidden Leaf Village was situated in the heart of the Land of Fire, where the abundant local resources meant that no one should be unable to survive. Although the daimyo's exploitation was harsh, it wasn't dire enough to drive them to desperation. This was why Yuya did not focus on the inhabitants of the Fire Nation. Targeting them could lead to conflict with the daimyo, whose land and resources Hidden Leaf Village also relied on. The families that struggled and made the arduous journey to Hidden Leaf Village likely included many old, weak, sick, and disabled individuals. The exhaustion from the journey had to be considerable, otherwise, they wouldn't have endured such a long trek. Thus, the initial group of over 100 newcomers consisted mainly of young and middle-aged laborers. Hidden Leaf Village desperately needed people. While this group was just a drop in the bucket, they were sufficient to fill a steel factory. However, Yuya had to prioritize filling the manpower for his factories and stores. The factories and businesses established by the ninja clans and merchants would be outside of his jurisdiction. Yuya calculated that even in an era where life was perilous, and ninjas graduated at the age of 8 to enter the battlefield at 9, if children were permitted to join the factories at 10, it would take a decade to cultivate a new generation of workers. In 10 years, Yuya was determined to eradicate poverty in Hidden Leaf Village and ensure every household had meat on the table. But who would willingly allow their children to enter factories at such a young age? The small stall he operated had its advantages, but Hidden Leaf Village's size was a significant limitation. No matter how many strategies he employed, if people did not come to Hidden Leaf Village, there was little he could do. Inducements would likely not work. Those who came were primarily motivated by benefits, and Yuya preferred to reserve those benefits for the residents of Hidden Leaf Village rather than for newcomers. This left only one other option: public opinion. In the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, as the front lines faced a fierce war with Hidden Clouds Village, various rumors began to circulate throughout the ninja continent. Why was Hidden Leaf Village so affluent? Why could its people eat meat daily? How did Hidden Leaf Village become the strongest village in the ninja world, unrivaled by others? These were all facts, but what followed were embellished claims. The air in Hidden Leaf Village was sweet, the moon rounder than anywhere else, and those who came could get rich, find wives, and become masters, rumors that spread like wildfire. Moreover, this communication method differed from previous announcements, targeting only civilians. By the time other villages reacted, a year would have passed. In the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, Yuya upgraded various factories, focusing on improving sewage treatment to the highest standards. Hidden Leaf Village, being a small village, had expanded rapidly over the past 2 years without proper infrastructure, leading to significant sewage issues. Some factory workers resisted these changes, complaining that their daily earnings would decrease from 100 yuan to 50 yuan after sewage treatment was implemented. This was the first time Yuya instructed his secretary to enforce a policy strictly. From this moment on, Yuya, once seen merely as Senju Dobirama's mouthpiece, began to shift public perception within Hidden Leaf Village. At the end of the summer of the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, when Hidden Clouds Village announced a temporary truce to harvest wheat, Senju Dobirama scoffed, "Do you think I would accept that? You're mistaken. I'm not worried about you, I'm more concerned about Hidden Stones Village's gang of Earth-style bastards sneaking up on us." Hidden Leaf Village did not retreat as in previous years, instead, they pushed forward, crossing the Kingdom of Iron and invading the Kingdom of Thunder. The daimyo of the Kingdom of Thunder grew alarmed. The battles had previously occurred within the Kingdom of Fire, which he could ignore, but now Hidden Leaf Village's encroachment threatened the very treasures of his land. "No, we cannot allow this conflict to continue." While marching, Senju Dobirama discovered a spot in the Kingdom of Thunder where he intended to drink and bathe. After taking a bath, he whimsically practiced a water-style technique, accidentally uncovering golden sand pouring from the riverbed he had disturbed. Diving down, he realized that although each piece of sand was small, they were undoubtedly gold. The implication of a hidden gold mine beneath the riverbed thrilled him. Senju Dobirama hurriedly instructed Kagami Uchiha to return to Hidden Leaf Village and bring Yuya back within 3 days. Kagami Uchiha obeyed the command, but upon arriving in Hidden Leaf Village, he was bewildered to see a crowd gathered outside the Hokage's office, holding banners and shouting slogans like, "Strongly protest against the closure of the textile factory," and "X is in arrears of wages. Pay back the money." Chapter 45, Did I Give You Face? When Kagami Uchiha arrived at the Hokage's office, he saw the old man standing comfortably by the window, looking down at the people below holding banners. Well, those people down there, don't you need to send someone to drive them away?" Kagami asked, confused about why Yuya was here. There was no need to confirm if it was truly him. The Uchiha clan had always stood by Hidden Leaf Village, and this was certainly the real Kagami Uchiha. Yuya's eyes suddenly lit up when Kagami spoke. Although Senju Dobirama hadn't explicitly mentioned it, Yuya knew there was a valuable mine nearby. There was definitely gold there, and not a small amount. It had to be dozens, maybe hundreds of tons. But no matter. First, they needed to resolve things here. Seeing Kagami's puzzled expression, Yuya began to explain. He explained that ever since he announced that all factories must implement strict sewage treatment, the business owners had been displeased. Previously, they saw Yuya as Dobirama's spokesperson and didn't challenge him, but that had changed. The costs of sewage treatment had cut into their profits, and though their profits would eventually grow with increased production, the initial expenses had halved their income. Yuya had explained this sensibly, but the businessmen were still unwilling to cooperate and accused him of acting without permission. This angered Yuya. "Oh, so when it's good for you, we're allies, but when it isn't, you accuse me of being arbitrary. And now you're saying I'm acting alone just in case Dobirama decides to step in?" If that were all, Yuya might have pushed through gradually. But in response to his policy, the businessmen had shut down shops, textile mills, food stores, ninja shops, and more. The textile factories, though not very profitable, employed many workers and were challenging to manage. But Yuya hadn't intended to control those or the other businesses they owned. Still, he was angered by their coordinated resistance, which seemed designed to force him to submit financially. Fine, if that's how they want to play, then let's play. Yuya thought, his resolve hardening. Since the merchants closed their doors, he decided to keep them closed. He cut off their grain supply by blocking access to the Hidden Leaf Village granary, stopping them from reselling Hidden Leaf Village's stored grain. Instead, he purchased 10 tons of grain from Hidden Stones Village, whether potatoes, rice, or wheat, whatever they had. The following day, Yuya announced in the Hokage's name that a store on the commercial street, which originally sold drinks, would now include food sales. This news was printed in a newspaper. Even those who didn't buy the paper would eventually hear about it, especially as they saw familiar stores closed and looked for new sources. The solution to the food shortage was Yuya's immediate priority. The population of Hidden Leaf Village had grown in recent years, and despite his efforts to secure fish harvests from Hidden Mist Village, supplies were running low. So he placed another order, this time doubling the amount. While Hidden Mist Village struggled with transport issues, the loss of Hidden Leaf Village's business forced Hidden Sand Village to worry about its own food supply. Yuya's actions ensured that Hidden Leaf Village's grain reserves could feed its citizens for the short term, but he knew it would take at least another year to build up their food stores fully. In the meantime, he decided to acquire ready-made goods from nearby villages, bypassing the local factories that had closed. Yuya's investments in textile and steel plants in both Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Village meant he could access goods and labor at favorable terms. The facilities were built with local materials and managed by locals, with the first 2 years' production sent to Hidden Leaf Village. His investments would be repaid within 10 years, leaving control in the hands of these villages. Yuya was aware of the internal conflicts within Hidden Mist Village and a vacant Mizukage position. But to him, it was simple: if there was a problem, solve it. If it couldn't be solved, then remove the obstacle. The factory shutdowns only intensified his resolve. Although buying goods from other villages was costlier, he didn't raise local prices. He would willingly take millions in losses to stand firm against the profiteers. With billions in tail saved from previous years, he was prepared for a financial standoff. If factories closed, workers would lose their jobs. Yet, to Yuya's surprise, Hidden Leaf Village's infrastructure projects had created plenty of work. Most unemployed workers were quickly hired elsewhere, often at steel or beverage plants. With jobs readily available, the closure barely affected them. Frustrated but undeterred, Yuya tried to warn workers of the factory owners' unreliability, urging them to secure wages and plan for their future. Many listened, returning to their former employers to demand payment. This collective action became the scene Kagami Uchiha saw as he arrived. Yuya turned to Kagami. "Those businessmen want to surrender, but I won't let them off so easily. They dared to challenge me, so they can wait." Pulling Kagami along, Yuya continued, "Let's head to the front lines. I'll leave these businessmen to live and stew in their decision for a few weeks." Kagami was stunned, wondering if the Uchiha clan had ever offended this fiery young man. Ironically, what Yuya hadn't anticipated was that his stay at the front would extend over a month, and almost cost him his life. Chapter 46 250 tons. Yuya followed Uchiha Mirror to the Kingdom of Thunder. The journey took 6.5 days. If Yuya and Kagami Uchiha weren't both ninjas, and if they were ordinary people, this journey would have taken at least half a month. After all, they came from Hidden Leaf Village in the Land of Fire to the border of the Land of Thunder. Yuya rushed to the makeshift command post on the front line, where he met his uncle, Senjutobirama. After Senjutobirama asked the others to leave, his frosty and indifferent face became a little eager. Then he rubbed his hands and told Yuya what happened during his water escape training. When Yuya heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. It can already produce pure gold sand. There must be a lot of gold mines down here. Hidden Clouds Village is indeed a bunch of muscle idiots who can't even detect such a big gold mine. Well, after all, it was originally under the riverbed. Then Yuya quickly asked for the coordinates. "Uncle Master, where is the gold mine?" However, Senjutobirama had a restrained look on his face and said softly to Yuya, "Yuya, this gold mine will definitely improve your strength." Yuya nodded repeatedly. After his current gold reserves exceeded 1 ton, he felt that his entire ability had increased significantly. Senjutobirama nodded and continued, "Then let me ask you, who do you think was the main contributor to finding this gold mine?" Yuya's excitement suddenly died down, and he looked at Senjutobirama with a pair of dead fish eyes. "Master, just tell me what you want to say." Senjutobirama coughed. "What, after you use your ability to extract the gold, we don't want more, how about half for each of us?" Yuya was shocked. "Uncle, what are you talking about? Half for each person? I only take half? After I use my ability to absorb the gold, what if I don't need your half of the gold to increase my strength, uncle?" Senjutobirama suppressed his smile and looked at Yuya calmly. "Then what do you think is appropriate?" "Yuya, let's go to June 4th. I'll take you." Senjutobirama turned around and left. "Just pretend I didn't tell you this." Yuya suddenly became anxious. "No, uncle, okay, half and half, just half for each person." Senjutobirama finally nodded with satisfaction. After that, the two came to the river. Yuya squatted on the ground and used his abilities to start exploring. Afterwards, Yuya looked at Senjutobirama with a strange expression. "What's wrong?" "Yuya, my ability can only extract gold within a 10-kilometer radius centered on me, and within this range. There is probably only..." Senjutobirama was anxious. "Is it rare?" "Probably only a little over 100 tons." "Senjutobirama, what? Only more than 100? Wait, tons?" Senjutobirama's face changed instantly, and he was already calculating in his mind how much 1 ton of gold would cost, and how much more than 100 tons of gold would cost. After a while, Senjutobirama still didn't figure it out clearly, so he simply asked Yuya to get the gold out first. Yuya then activated his power and extracted more than 100 tons of gold from the ground. More than 100 tons sounds like a lot, but in reality, it is only about 5 meters of cubes. Senjutobirama clicked his tongue, then looked at Yuya and sighed. "Your blood succession limit is really easy to use." Although the gold transformed with your ability will return to its original state when it encounters water, the gold that already exists in nature does not have this limitation, and the gold in the soil can be turned into gold directly from the ground without refining it. If you had been born 20 years earlier. Senju Dobirama sighed a few words, and then asked Yuaya to divide the gold into 2 halves. Afterwards, watching Yuaya absorb half of the gold into his body, the corners of Senju Dobirama's mouth twitched. This prodigal son, if this gold is used to develop Hidden Leaf Village. What Senju Dobirama didn't know was that Yuaya could absorb gold and spit it out. After sucking and releasing, the gold didn't lose much. But Yuaya will definitely not tell Senju Dobirama. Let him think that the gold has been absorbed and consumed by him. By the way, what did you want to say just now? You can continue talking now. Yuaya nodded. Oh, what I just wanted to say is that there are thousands of tons of gold down here, but because my ability only has a range of 10 kilometers, I can't absorb it all. Senju Dobirama suddenly froze on the spot. A moment later, Senju Dobirama rushed over with blood-red eyes. They were originally red, and held Yuaya's shoulders. I want to teach you Earth style. You must learn Earth style within 1 day. It was obvious that Senju Dobirama was in a daze. However, it is impossible for anyone to remain indifferent to thousands of tons of gold. Unless he doesn't know the value of gold. So, in the next week, Senju Dobirama started teaching Yuaya how to learn Earth style. The main theme was that Yuaya must try his best to go underground and fish out the gold. In 1 week and 7 days, Senju Dobirama himself was able to create a ninjutsu. But Yuaya could only learn 3 Earth style techniques. Strictly speaking, the 3 Earth styles are all of the same type. They all use chakra to soften the earth to change its form. Basically, once you learn one, you should be able to do the other 2 as well. But Yuaya just spent a week. Senju Dobirama sighed, but in his heart, he knew that after studying for a week, apart from being no better than himself, Yuaya was not much inferior to the others in his elite team. But now time is money. After learning Earth style, Yuaya brought more with him this time. The gold brought up was piled up to a height of more than 10 meters. Senju Dobirama suffered a cardiac arrest, but quickly recovered. Because he knew he couldn't fall. After dividing it into half and happily sealing it in the sealing scroll, Senju Dobirama wondered again, are these several thousand tons that you just got? Yuaya, no, there are only 500 tons in total. Uncle Master, you have 250 tons. Senju Dobirama was angry, didn't you say thousands? Yuaya sighed, then it will be further down, dozens of kilometers away. Senju Dobirama frowned a little, can't you go down? Yuaya rolled his eyes, Uncle, you can give it a try. I won't be able to go down 2 kilometers underground. The soil is too hard and my chakra will be consumed too much. Then I will have to stay down there for the rest of my life. Senju Dobirama understood that this was because Yuaya, the little bastard, was cowardly. Senju Dobirama said I can take you down. Yuaya shrugged and said, Uncle Master, you can try it yourself first. Senju Dobirama tried it on his own and found that he could only escape down 3 kilometers because the rock layer below seemed to contain other elemental concentrations and he could not continue. Sighing, Senju Dobirama knew that he was only here, and that Yuaya really couldn't come here. I gave up this plan. However, they still remembered the location of this gold vein. When Yuaya became stronger, the 2 of them came here secretly and gave this vein to the Land of Thunder. Anyway, it would be a waste if those roughnecks like Hidden Clouds Village took it. So, Senju Dobirama took Yuaya back to the temporary camp. Yuaya was secretly happy that he had more gold reserves. He had a hunch that his next advanced stage would be when he absorbed more than 1,000 tons of gold. By then, his detection, perception, and absorption would definitely become stronger. But Yuaya will definitely not tell anyone else about this. Don't reveal your wealth in vain, he still understands this principle. And that night, Hidden Clouds Village's elite troops attacked the temporary camp stationed in Hidden Leaf Village at night. Chapter 47 Attacked by X and X Yangming, Part 1, Hidden Leaf Village was attacked, not because of negligence in defense, but because the outer perimeter guards were breached. Leading Hidden Clouds Village's attack force this time was the second Raikage. In Hidden Clouds Village, there is an unwritten rule that whoever becomes Raikage assumes the title I. The significance of this title remains unknown. The second Raikage didn't come alone. He brought a powerful war weapon, the 8 Tails. When the first Hidden Leaf Village ninja on the battlefield spotted the threat and launched a signal flare, the entire temporary camp erupted into chaos. Suddenly, an earth-shaking roar echoed across the field. A giant, bull-headed, 8-legged octopus monster, the 8 Tails, began its rampage. Yuaya was jolted awake from his sleep. He quickly put on his clothes and dashed out of his tent, where he found Senju Dobirama standing, gazing into the distance. They're here? Dobirama said softly, not turning around. He didn't scold Yuya for sleeping so soundly on the front lines, though he now felt a deep sense of regret. If anything were to happen to Yuya. Senju Dobirama took a deep breath and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. Hiruzen, Danzo, you two take Kagami, Taifeng, and the others and protect Yuya. Do whatever it takes, even if it costs your lives. He must be kept safe. Dobirama ordered. Then, he turned to Yuya and said gravely, you are Hidden Leaf Village's future. With that, Dobirama turned and headed straight toward the raging Eight Tails. At this point, Dobirama was unaware that the second Raikage himself was leading the assault. Assuming that the Eight Tails Jinchuriki was in command, he prepared to face the beast. Meanwhile, at the camp, Akimeki Taifeng and the others stood around Yuya. Hiruzen, Danzo, Mido, and Koharu all kept watch as Yuya got ready. Yuya gave a nervous smile. A night attack? Just our luck. He joked. Kagami Uchiha, standing nearby, looked at Yuya seriously and declared, I won't let anything happen to you. Yuya blinked, puzzled by Kagami's intense expression. Was there something more to it? But he dismissed the thought, remembering that Kagami was already married. Before Yuya could dwell on it, a figure appeared on the thick branches of a nearby tree. The man was muscular, with sun-bronzed skin, and not wearing a Hidden Clouds Village forehead protector. He was the second Raikage, the strongest shinobi of his village. Is this all Hidden Leaf Village has left? The Raikage mocked. His body crackled with lightning as he activated his lightning-style chakra mode, a technique honed over generations in Hidden Clouds Village. Retreat. Hiruzen commanded. Yuya didn't need to be told twice, he turned and ran, with Kagami Uchiha close behind. Hiruzen stayed back to defend, preparing to engage the Raikage. The Raikage sneered. Cowards. He muttered, lunging forward. Lightning sparked around him as he launched a powerful punch, but Hiruzen used a substitution jutsu, leaving a log in his place. However, before Hiruzen could react further, a bolt of lightning struck him, and he collapsed, unconscious. Ignoring Hiruzen, the Raikage sped forward, targeting Yuya. His mission was clear, eliminate the boy who had brought about so much change in Hidden Leaf Village. If Yuya survived, Hidden Leaf Village would only grow stronger. The Raikage's speed was overwhelming, and he quickly closed the gap between himself and Yuya's group. Shimura Danzo attempted a wind-style jutsu, but the Raikage walked through it effortlessly. Too weak. He scoffed, moving toward Yuya. Kagami Uchiha stepped forward, his Sharingan blazing. Blood vessels stood out around his eyes, and he cast a powerful Genjutsu, transforming the landscape into a crimson sea. The Raikage was unimpressed. Interesting, but not enough. He said calmly. His lightning chakra shattered the illusion, and Kagami collapsed, blood streaming from his eyes. Yuya clenched his teeth. He had always acted in Dobirama's name, but his identity was no longer a secret. He cursed the merchants in Hidden Leaf Village who doubled as spies for enemy nations, driven purely by profit. Yuya vowed that when he returned, he would deal with those traitorous merchants, though he knew Hidden Leaf Village's economy still needed them to survive. The Raikage advanced, ignoring the wounded Kagami. Danzo and the others were frozen, terrified by the overwhelming power of their opponent. With no other options, Yuya pulled out a scroll from his robes. With a loud crash, a massive golden boulder fell from the sky, aiming directly for the second Raikage. Chapter 48 Attacked by X and X Yangming, Part 2, the second-generation Raikage quickly formed hand seals, water escape, water walking on waves behind the second-generation Raikage eye. A massive wave surged from the ground, estimated to be at least 10 meters wide and 10 meters high. This is a forested area, with the nearest water source a kilometer away. What a monster! Yuya gritted his teeth, waiting for the golden boulder to be struck by the enormous waves. The moment the two collided, the gold on the surface of the boulder quickly faded away, revealing the massive stone underneath. What? The second-generation Raikage's eyes widened as he realized that such a large boulder couldn't possibly be made entirely of gold. This kid was bluffing. Meanwhile, Yuya clasped his hands together, Earth Escape, Earth Sealing Formation. The boulder in the air, affected by Yuya's chakra, shattered into pieces, then broke through the massive wave and trapped the second-generation Raikage inside the stone. Yuya continued to turn and run away. At that moment, a huge wave crashed down, washing away Danzo, Shimura and others. He had just given in, but now he couldn't help even if he wanted to. Uchiha Mirror was slammed against a tree trunk by the enormous waves and nearly drowned in the deluge. Fortunately, this was land, and there was no surrounding water, otherwise, he would have truly drowned. With a boom, the second-generation Raikage broke through the rock seal, his eyes filled with murderous intent. This boy possesses such strength at a young age, what if he continues to grow? Today, I must ensure this brat stays here forever. Ignoring the injured Uchiha mirror, the second-generation Rukonga's body crackled with lightning as he charged towards Hyuga. Hyuga felt uneasy. He knew that the earth-sealing jutsu he had just learned days ago wouldn't be enough to seal the second-generation Rukongai, but wasn't this too outrageous? Had he really been stuck for 3 seconds? Not even for a second. Hyuga moaned internally, but his hands moved swiftly. He pulled out another scroll and conjured a piece of gold from it, using his ability to shape it into a cone. He then turned to face the approaching second-generation Rukongai and launched the cone. The second-generation Rukongai sneered at the golden cone, which was about the size of an adult with a sharp tip. Come again? He sealed his chakra and spat out a torrent of water at the incoming cone. However, upon contact with the water, the golden cone maintained its momentum instead of turning to stone as before. What? The second-generation Rukongai was shocked but realized it was too late to react. He quickly extended his hand to grasp the front end of the cone. Good weight. A kai sound echoed through the air. Though he managed to dodge the blow, the edge of the cone cut into part of his shoulder. The second-generation Rukongai glared at the golden cone on the ground with a scowl, then looked at Hyuga with a sneer in his eyes. I see, this thing is different from the stone blindfold you created earlier. This is real gold, isn't it? Hyuga met the second-generation Rukongai's gaze, noticing the other was waiting for a response. Without hesitation, he turned and fled. Damn it. Do you think I'm stupid enough to answer all your questions? Furious, the second-generation Rukongai's body crackled with thunder chakra as he sprinted after Hyuga. Hyuga threw out another scroll. A cone of that size required 10 tons of gold. Of course, he could use more gold, but that would be too large and easy to dodge. For someone like the second-generation Rukongai, no matter the size, it would be useless. He was too agile. It's useless. The second-generation Rukongai roared, appearing directly beside Hyuga as if teleporting. Hyuga's pupils constricted sharply, and as a reflex, he moved the gold he had just taken out to launch a sneak attack, blocking the powerful punch of the second-generation Rukongai. A punch struck 10 tons of gold, bending and deforming it. Hyuga felt an electric shock course through his body as the dissipating thunder chakra hit him, and he caught the scent of burnt flesh in his chest. Ha! The second-generation Rukongai punched away the golden cone, sending it flying behind him along with Hyuga. Using his ability, Hyuga transformed the golden cone into liquid to shield himself. After crashing into a tree, he felt severe damage to his internal organs. Since the second-generation Rukongai had appeared, Hyuga hadn't even managed to land a single hit on his opponent. Even with the Rukongai's earlier restraint, he was now seriously injured. The gap in their strengths was too vast. The second-generation Rukongai indifferently observed the boy who had been thrown against a tree and was now unable to rise. Sorry, boy. If you want to blame someone, blame the fact that you're not from Union Village. The second-generation Rukongai wasn't the type to waste time talking to an opponent who couldn't fight back. His goal was set. He would kill this boy with his own hands. Hyuga's vision began to blur. Did he really want to die today? Clang. A kunai, imbued with chakra, suddenly appeared in front of Hyuga, blocking the second-generation Rukongai's attack. Hyuga sighed in relief. It was too slow, uncle. Hyuga fainted with relief. Senju also breathed a sigh of relief. Though he had his suspicions, he hadn't expected that the second-generation Rukongai would actually target Hyuga. Fortunately, he had acted swiftly. Then the flying thunder god mark placed on Hyuga returned. Otherwise, there would have been no way to stop the second-generation Rukongai. You guy? Impossible. There's no way my brother could be defeated so easily by you. In Hidden Cloud's village, every Rukongai has a brother who fights alongside them. The brother of the second-generation Rukongai is the current 8 Tails Jinchuriki. He trusted his younger brother, the second Rukongai. Only a minute or two had passed since the beginning of the fight. How could his brother be eliminated so quickly? Senju indifferent face remained calm, because the 8 Tails body is so large, that's why I came here with confidence. The second-generation Rukongai's eyes widened in anger. What do you mean? Suddenly, a sneer appeared on Senju face. Let me ask you, which is more powerful, one detonating talisman that explodes 100 times, or 100 detonating talismans that explode once each? The second-generation Rukongai paused, startled, and then he heard a violent explosion. Boom. How could he not comprehend? He glared at Senju, you bastard, you actually. Senju looked at the second-generation Rukongai with indifference. Do you really have time to waste with me now? I didn't hold back. Even the 8 Tails couldn't withstand being blown up by over 100 detonating talismans for even a minute. As he spoke, Senju pointed at the empty space on the second-generation Rukongai's shoulder. Even. You were injured? The second-generation Rukongai fell silent, weighing his options. If he disregarded the Eight Tails or his brother's life and death, and solely focused on killing Hyuga, he could have done it. But could he really abandon a comatose burden while only facing one person from the Senju clan? However, the question remained. Was it worth it? The second-generation Rukongai pondered for a few seconds, listening to the continuous explosions. He gritted his teeth and turned to run toward the center of the explosions. Ultimately, regardless of the fact that the Eight Tails was his younger brother, considering the value of the Eight Tails beast, it was impossible to give up so easily. Although the Eight Tails would be resurrected after death, what if they were revived in another country and captured by enemies? I knew that others wouldn't simply return it to him if they caught it. Of course, he also harbored thoughts of saving his brother. Though the second-generation Rukongai didn't want to admit it, there was some part of him that cared. Senju Dobirama watched the second-generation Rukongai retreat and breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, nothing happened to the young brat Hyuga. Senju Dobirama approached and examined the battlefield, noting the two massive golden cones. Hyuga, this little brat, seems to have some talent. But, you little guy, don't think about reclaiming these two golden pieces. Chapter 49 Newspaper and Three Little Birds. Half a month later, at the Hidden Leaf Village Ninja School, so cool. Jiraiya, who looked like a white-haired hooligan, exclaimed excitedly while reading the newspaper in his hand. Hey, have you finished reading? I bought this. Orochimaru, or Little Shimaru, said, placing his hands on his hips and shaking his head helplessly at Jiraiya. What does it matter? What difference does it make between you and me? Little Jiraiya pouted and stuck out his tongue at Kashimaru. Never mind that. Look at this. Our eldest brother is really amazing. Little Jiraiya excitedly hugged Kashimaru, sharing the newspaper headlines. Orochimaru sighed and replied, that's just his perspective, not ours. Forget it. More importantly, I want to know if those grain stores will be open this month. Little Jiraiya looked confused. Huh? What kind of grain store? Aren't grain stores always open? Orochimaru shook his head. I mean the grain store downstairs on our street. Grandma Liangzai has trouble with her legs, and the grain store in the central commercial street is too far away. If it doesn't open today, I'll go back after class and bring a bag of rice for Grandma Liangzai. Little Jiraiya blinked, then nodded and returned the newspaper to Little Shimaru. Okay, then you take a look. Orochimaru took the newspaper and flipped to the life section on the back. He felt a bit disappointed when he didn't see any announcements. Children have a strong ability to accept new things. In fact, some elderly people in Hidden Leaf Village don't have the habit of buying newspapers anymore, but children enjoy reading them. This is mainly because there are too few entertainment activities. The newspaper has an entertainment section with short stories or interesting anecdotes that appeal to Hidden Leaf Village's children. They can also learn literacy through newspapers, which is an unexpected benefit. But the outcome was positive, so Hyuga didn't bother to care. A cheerful voice rang out as Tsunade walked into the classroom humming a song. Little Jiraiya noticed her and quickly raised his hand. Tsunade. Over here. Your brother is in the newspaper. Tsunade's expression darkened as she walked over quickly and punched Little Jiraiya in the abdomen. Little Jiraiya fell to the ground, bowing his head, and pointed a finger at Tsunade. You violent woman. Tsunade put her hands on her hips, glaring at Little Jiraiya with dissatisfaction. He is not my brother. He's not even a member of my clan. It was clear that Tsunade still held a grudge against Hyuga. This was understandable. Hyuga had said last time that those families who didn't support the front line would pay the price, but nothing had happened in the end. While the lives of ordinary people in Hidden Leaf Village were improving, meats that were once unthinkable now had canneries, and they could also choose fish, shipped from Hidden Mist Village, beef, brought in by merchants from Hidden Clouds Village, and even lizard meat, obtained from Hidden Sand Village, as those animals only lived in the desert and were edible. Tsunade saw these changes as mere small increments. As a child, she had no real understanding of the situation and would naturally think that Hyuga hadn't done anything. Moreover, Tsunade's parents and neighbors often spoke highly of Hyuga, claiming he had done many good things. As a child, she felt that Hyuga hadn't contributed anything while those around her praised him, which naturally fostered a rebellious mentality against him. After punching Jiraiya to the ground, Tsunade turned to Orochimaru. What did the newspaper say about him this time? Did it mention what kind of factory or store he opened to encourage ordinary people to work? Orochimaru shook his head and turned the newspaper so Tsunade could see the headline. He went to the front line and fought against the Rukongai. It's said that he seriously injured the Rukongai. The second Rukongai, slander. This is slander. He is slandering me. Tsunade was stunned and looked at Orochimaru in disbelief. How is that possible? That's the shadow of a village. Little Jiraiya pointed at the newspaper. Anyway, that's what it says. But Brother Uaya was also seriously injured and is said to be in a coma. Tsunoda's expression shifted to concern. What? Seriously injured and unconscious? Will he be okay? After all, she had been playing with Uaya at Senju Hashirama's place since she was a child, so she still felt a connection to him. Little Jiraiya stroked his chin thoughtfully. Well, it's hard to say. After all, that's the Rukongai. Although Brother Uaya is very powerful and seriously injured the Rukongai, he must have sustained a lot of damage. Tsunoda's face turned pale, and she became absent-minded in class for the rest of the day. She wanted to leave school quickly and ask the adults at home what was going on, especially her father. Tsunoda's father was the son of Senju Hashirama. A few years ago, he had announced his death while on a mission. Little Tsunoda didn't understand why he would make such an announcement and then hold a new wedding with her mother. But thinking it over, the title hadn't changed anyway, and she didn't really care whether to call him dad or father. But Tsunoda's parents knew the reason behind the announcement. It was also the reason why Senju Hashirama disbanded the Senju clan and merged it into Hidden Leaf Village. He didn't want the members of the Senju clan to be targeted because of him. It was impossible to hide Tsunoda's identity. After all, Hidden Leaf Village was at peace when she was born, and everyone in the village knew of her existence. It was impossible to erase a person's traces completely. But Tsunoda's father was different. The son of the god of ninja, just thinking about it made it clear how many people were watching him. What if genetic information related to Senju Hashirama could actually be extracted? Wouldn't it create the potential to mass-produce the ninja god? The temptation was too great, and other villages would go crazy for it. So Senju Hashirama publicly announced that his son had died during a mission. After all, his son was only known to a few Anbu ninjas, and if he were exposed, they could find out who the informant was. Thus, he faked his own death and then publicly married his wife a while later, changing his surname. From then on, he would no longer be a member of the Senju clan. There is no doubt that Senju Hashirama's actions were successful. Until Tsunoda became the fifth Hokage in the original timeline, there were no rumors of the Senju clan being targeted. Even Orochimaru, a genius from Hidden Leaf Village's own village, could only rely on experiments repeatedly if he wanted to use wood style, ultimately resulting in Yamato, a significantly weaker version of the wood style ninja. It is said that Ikaiwa's strength was not weak, but he was always afraid of comparisons. The ninja god Senju Hashirama's wood style is so impressive, it seems that Yamato is also an elite jonin, but in comparison, he looks considerably weaker. In short, although Tsunoda was unaware of these twists and turns, she knew that if she asked her father, he would definitely know whether Uaya was dead. But there was no need to ask. Tsunoda hurriedly left the school after class. Seeing her in such a rush, little Jiraiya and Orochimaru thought that Tsunoda was in an emergency and chased after her out of childish curiosity. After leaving the school gate and running for a few minutes, they saw a young man walking toward them. The young man appeared gloomy, lowering his head as if lost in thought, and all three children recognized this figure. It was the person mentioned in the newspaper, Shinjin Yuya. Chapter 50 I won't leave anymore. Tsunoda looked at the young man who walked slowly toward her, his head lowered as if he were deep in thought, and suddenly felt angry. I had been worried about him all day, and now he appears in front of me as if nothing is wrong? Furious, Tsunoda was filled with both anger and fear. She ran quickly to him, clenched her fists, and rushed toward Uaya. When Uaya heard the noise, he raised his head and saw Tsunoda. After a moment of surprise, he softly said, Tsunoda. Tsunoda was also taken aback and slowly stopped. Today's brother Uaya. Well, this guy isn't really my brother, he's a jerk. But Tsunoda noticed that Uaya's expression wasn't good, and he was looking past her, directly behind her. Tsunoda turned around and saw that Jiraiya and Orochimaru were following her. Tsunoda's eyes went blank, and she no longer felt like hitting Uaya. She looked at the two boys and asked, why are you following me? Little Jiraiya ignored Tsunoda, bypassed her, and reached Uaya, holding his hand with shining eyes. Brother. You're amazing. You actually managed to seriously injure the Rukongai and single-handedly delayed the retreat of the ninja troops. Uaya smiled bitterly. While he did injure the Rukongai and the troops did retreat, it had nothing to do with him. The Rukongai's attack was initially a surprise. Once Senju Dobirama reacted, it was impossible for the Rukongai to kill all the frontline ninjas, it was still possible for him to kill only Uaya. Therefore, a safe retreat was feasible. If he hadn't been trying to protect Uaya, Senju Dobirama could have fought back. But Uaya was so important, that possibility didn't exist. Strictly speaking, Uaya did play a role in these events, but it was mostly due to Senju Dobirama's command. However, Senju Dobirama focused all the credit on himself. Uaya knew that Senju Dobirama was paving the way for him. Yuaya had been sent back to Hidden Leaf Village by Senju Tobirama. He had just returned yesterday, along with Saratobe Hiruzen and Kagami Uchiha. Both of them were seriously injured because they had tried to cover Yuaya's retreat. They had sustained real injuries. Yuaya had whimsically covered his body with gold, which acted like a layer of armor and provided a certain level of protection. However, since gold has good electrical conductivity, the Rukonga's thunder chakra only affected himself but still made Yuaya's scalp tingle. It could only be described as a double-edged sword. Without the golden barrier, Yuaya might not have had half a life left. How could he stand up now? The current medical facilities in Hidden Leaf Village were truly impressive, and there were no systematic medical spots. Note 1, but now was not the time to think about that. Yuaya raised his head and forced a smile for the three little ones, then took them to one of the most luxurious barbecue restaurants in Hidden Leaf Village. Yes, Yuaya drove them there himself. Tsunade and Jiraiya ordered dozens of plates of barbecue without hesitation. Yuaya didn't mind their orders but looked at Orochimaru instead. Aren't you going to order? Orochimaru, still very young, looked at Yuaya in confusion. Brother Yuaya, you seem a bit strange today. Yuaya's heart skipped a beat. He smiled reluctantly, signaling that he had come down from the battlefield and was grateful to have survived. He felt that the meaning of life should be to enjoy good food every day, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to eat after death. Wouldn't that be pitiful? Orochimaru nodded as if he understood, then began to eat the barbecue with sauce. Yuaya breathed a sigh of relief but didn't know how to speak for a moment. When he read comics in his previous life, he only knew that Orochimaru's parents died in this war. But Yuaya didn't know when they died. But now, Yuaya knew. And he clearly understood that Orochimaru's parents died in the second-generation Rukonga's raid targeting him. Yuaya felt guilty. If he hadn't gone, would Orochimaru's parents have died? Maybe it still would have happened, but it definitely wouldn't have been because of him. That was something he could use to comfort himself. But now, halfway through the meal, little Jiraiya suddenly pointed at Yuaya with a suspicious look on his face. Brother, you can't. Is there some secret way to eat that you haven't told us? Well, he had a point. How could a child have such scheming thoughts? Last time, Yuaya hadn't told these kids that he could make dipping sauce, but after they were full, he went to prepare a bowl of delicious and fragrant condiments, leaving their mouths full of oil. This time, little Jiraiya felt he had learned well. He definitely wouldn't be able to eat plain barbecue like last time. Yuaya was taken aback for a moment, then shook his head. He looked at Jiraiya and then at Orochimaru, smiling softly. You're right, I do have a way to enjoy these barbecued meats. Little Jiraiya raised his arms excitedly. I knew it. I knew it. Yuaya asked the waiter to bring a burrito, then picked one up and handed it to the three little ones to try. Using the burrito to roll the barbecued meat, they could add a few slices at a time. If they liked vegetables, they could add their favorite ones as well. Where had they ever seen such a way of eating? So, after this meal, the three little ones were left with their mouths full of oil. Even Tsunade looked at Yuaya with a great deal of appreciation. Before leaving, Orochimaru mentioned he was going to the commercial street to buy a bag of rice for his neighbor's grandmother. Just as he was about to leave, Yuaya stopped him. Orochimaru, are you willing to be my brother? Yuaya said very seriously. No matter how Orochimaru ended up in the original comics, betraying the village, killing teachers, conducting human experiments. But now, Yuaya felt obligated to take care of him. This time, he felt responsible for the families of the more than 100 ninjas who died because of him. Orochimaru looked at Yuaya in confusion. Seeing that Yuaya didn't seem to be joking, he instinctively wanted to refuse. But Jiraiya, standing beside him, raised his hand. Brother. Can I be your brother too? Yuaya had a dark look on his face, this unfortunate kid. Forget it. Yuaya sighed and waved his hand dismissively at the two of them. Okay, you'll be my brothers from now on. You can act recklessly in Hidden Leaf Village. If you get into trouble, just tell them my name. Little Jiraiya immediately looked at Yuaya with bright eyes. Brother. Can we eat such delicious food in the future? Once a week, not half a month. No. Just once a month is enough. Yuaya looked at Jiraiya and shook his head with a smile. Little Jiraiya felt disappointed when Yuaya said, if you want, you can come every day from now on. After saying that, Yuaya turned to leave, and Tsunade quickly followed him. They were headed in the same direction. Jiraiya shouted excitedly, trailing behind them. Tsunade walked behind Yuaya, hands on her hips, and muttered with a pout, it's easy to say, but how many months has it been since you last met us? And this time, you also left the village too. Go. Humphrey. Anyway, who knows when you'll leave the village again in the future? Seeing the ponytail swaying behind Tsunade as she walked, Yuya fell silent. After a moment, he said softly, "No more." Tsunade looked up at Yuya in confusion. "No more." Yuya repeated, but this time, he said it to himself. "I won't leave." Yuya raised his head, gazing at the gorgeous sunset in the sky, murmuring softly, "Never leaving again." Tsunade stared blankly at the boy who was more than a head taller than her, feeling as if something new had been added to her heart. "Okay." Yuya looked down at Tsunade, smiled, and said, "You go back first. Your brother and I have something to do today." The good mood that had surged suddenly dissipated, and Tsunade looked at Yuya speechlessly. "Then you're really busy. Will you not be able to see us for several months starting tomorrow?" Yuya laughed. "Of course not. Wait for me after school tomorrow. I will definitely come over and treat you to barbecue again." Tsunade blinked, then extended her little finger. "Pinky promise." After they completed the pinky promise, Yuya said goodbye to Tsunade with a smile. Then he turned around and left, but the corner of his mouth turned cold. He was going to resolve the issue himself. Chapter 51. He is only 13 years old. The dissatisfaction of the merchants in Hidden Leaf Village with Yuya had reached its peak. It wasn't just the complete set of sewage treatment facilities that Yuya had previously required them to complete. What's more, Yuya had actually encouraged those workers to demand wages. Those workers themselves didn't want wages. Why was he meddling in their affairs? "Do you have any idea how much money we will lose by doing this?" The most infuriating part was that after pushing for these changes, Yuya just patted his butt and left. Then he returned a month later. Before leaving, he made it clear that none of their applications would be passed. Several businessmen who had initially considered giving in were furious when they found out that any of their applications had been rejected. They even directly threatened that it would be impossible to cooperate with Yuya in any capacity. And yesterday, Yuya had returned. What made these businessmen even angrier was that he had taken a day off. Why didn't he come to us directly? Do you know how much more money we could have made if he had lifted the injunction against us a day early? You've gone too far. He's just a little kid, only 13 or 14. He's really offended us. Even the Senju family can't protect you. Oh? Did you actually send me an invitation? Well, we will meet at the Hidden Leaf Village Hotel at 9 o'clock tonight. Humphrey, I knew this brat would give in. Hidden Leaf Village Hotel, located in the center of the commercial street. There are 4 floors in total. Basically, people come here to spend money every day. The chefs here are really talented. But today, the hotel cleared out its customers early and closed its doors. The venue was booked for tonight. Oh, this big hotel wasn't created by Yuya. He didn't care about the profit from opening a restaurant. He opened a barbecue restaurant simply because he wanted to eat. The reason he was able to book this large hotel was that Yuya offered the boss a price he couldn't refuse. It was now around 7 o'clock in the evening, and Yuya was sitting at a table in the middle of the lobby on the first floor of the hotel, with Kagami Uchiha sitting next to him. Brother Hiruzen. Will he not come? Kagami Uchiha looked a bit uneasy but then added, Hiruzen is, after all, a member of the Sarutobi family. Yuya nodded. Indeed, I can understand. Then Yuya looked at Kagami Uchiha again. Is it possible that the Uchiha clan can simply ignore these businessmen? Kagami Uchiha fell silent and then said softly, "This is my personal decision and has nothing to do with the family." Yuya shook his head. "No one will believe that. If you still think that way, then you should leave here." Kagami Uchiha remained silent. He knew that tonight was a turning point. Why did Senju Dobirama allow the newspaper to publish such outrageous news? This was clearly building momentum for Yuya. What did this mean? Senju Dobirama intended to let Yuya take his place. Sarutobi Hiruzen might not have any objections, but the Sarutobi clan was, after all, the largest clan in Hidden Leaf Village. During the subsequent Fourth Ninja War, the Sarutobi clan mobilized 3,000 ninjas. One clan became an army. What did that mean? What kind of power was that? 3,000 ninjas, huh? Where were these ninja troops when Hidden Leaf Village was attacked by Pain? What do the Sarutobi clan, the controllers of these ninja armies, think about this? It's no wonder that the Sarutobi family, who worked for Hidden Leaf Village, became the only dominant force during the third generation's rule. Everyone knows the thoughts of the Sarutobi family. In the original history, they also succeeded. I just didn't expect Sarutobi Hiruzen to have such a crazy mindset and firmly believe that the village was more important than his family while the rest of the Sarutobi clan did not support him at all. As a result, he and Asuma were the only ones named Sarutobi in Hidden Leaf Village's combat power. Clearly, Yuya was now in a similar situation. Every village has internal conflicts, and Yuya didn't care about the squabbles in the Sarutobi clan. After all, who wouldn't want the position of leader of Hidden Leaf Village? And what about Kagami Uchiha? Didn't Kagami Uchiha understand this truth? Did the Uchiha clan want to take another gamble? They had abandoned Madara Uchiha before, devoting themselves to the village. However, Senju Dobirama openly discriminated against the Uchiha and did not trust them at all. Is it possible that Kagami Uchiha now represents Uchiha? Before I came, the elders of the family did not agree with my decision to come. Yuya nodded. You can't represent Uchiha, go back. Tonight, I am enough. Kagami Uchiha fell silent. After a moment, he raised his head and looked at Yuya. What if? It's just one person. Yuya suddenly raised his eyebrows. What do you mean? Kagami Uchiha gritted his teeth, then grabbed his coat, ignited a flame in his hand, and burned his coat. Yuya watched the Uchiha crest on his coat disappear in the flames, looking at Kagami Uchiha calmly. You want to betray your family? Kagami Uchiha replied in a deep voice, I am doing this for the village, not betraying my family. Yuya was silent for a moment, then sighed, leaning back in his chair. Do you really trust me that much to think you can win? Or is it because the Hokage values me that you? Kagami Uchiha pursed his lips. It has nothing to do with that. I simply discovered a fact by accident. You have actually started to weaken the ninja families, right? Yuya was genuinely intrigued now. Could someone really see through his plan? Yuya became interested and began chatting with Kagami Uchiha. Hearing Kagami Uchiha say that he had been wandering around and noticed that people in the Uchiha clan were slowly moving out voluntarily, without any pressure, led him to conclude that Yuya was trying to weaken the major ninja families. Yuya smiled. It turned out that he had only scratched the surface. Well, that was fine too. People who could see through his true plans. Well, forget it, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. What if there really was? It's really strange. Uzumaki Mido said, looking at Senju Dobirama, who was kneeling in front of Senju Hashirama's tablet. Aren't you on the front line? Why did you come back so suddenly? Senju Dobirama opened his scarlet eyes, gazing at his elder brother's memorial tablet as he softly replied, because I can't wait any longer. Uzumaki Mido was a bit confused. What can't you wait for? Senju Dobirama lowered his head and kowtowed to his elder brother's memorial tablet. Then he stood up and said, this time, Yuya almost got into trouble because I called him to the front line. I realized something. If something happens to Yuya now, there will be no future for Hidden Leaf Village. In other words, I can clearly foresee the future of Hidden Leaf Village. And I already can't wait to see the future Hidden Leaf Village that my foolish eyes can't see. I want to see a future where everyone in Hidden Leaf Village becomes rich and powerful. I want this day to arrive sooner. Uzumaki Mido became even more perplexed. Then why are you kneeling here? Senju Dobirama clasped his hands together and said, I told everyone that Yuya is my successor. At the very least, Sarutobi, Shimura, Hinata, and other ninja families must know. Uzumaki Mido was stunned for a moment, and then her expression changed instantly. She asked, what did you say? Did you tell those ninja families? Do you know this will bring him? Senju Dobirama closed his eyes. This is a hurdle he must overcome. Only this way can he secure his position. Slap. Uzumaki Mido slapped Senju Dobirama hard on the face. Are you crazy? He is only 13 years old. Senju Dobirama's body remained motionless, but 5 more fingerprints appeared on his face. He still kept his eyes closed and said in a deep voice, I followed my elder brother to the battlefield when I was 6 years old. Uzumaki Mido pointed at Senju Dobirama with a trembling finger and turned to walk out. Sister-in-law. Senju Dobirama called out loudly, your status does not allow you to enter and exit this mansion at will. Uzumaki Mido stopped, clenching her hands tightly. However, Senju Dobirama was not just talking. Uzumaki Mido sensed at least 8 ninjas after just a brief scan. Sister-in-law. Senju Dobirama said gently, standing up from the memorial tablet, believe him, he is my brother's disciple. After saying that, Senju Dobirama vanished from the room and appeared in the wilderness outside Hidden Leaf Village. Sorry, Yuya. But you can only pass this test by yourself. If you can't do it. Pausing his thoughts, Senju Dobirama turned and walked toward the front line. In the Hidden Leaf Village Hotel, Yuya looked at the businessman in front of him, resisting the urge to kill all these profit-seeking merchants. He took out the stack of papyrus he had prepared long ago and from his belongings. Then he handed out a few sheets. Everyone, please circulate these and see if there are any issues, and then we can continue our discussion. Kushina in Uzumaki Mido's belly, damn it. This is wonderful. Mido, why don't you slap me more? If that bastard Hashirama is dead, why don't I beat his brother to vent my anger? Chapter 52 Hidden Leaf Village Savings Bank. At 9 o'clock in the evening, businessmen of all sizes gathered at the Hidden Leaf Village Hotel. At a glance, there were more than 40 people present. In addition to self-employed individuals and lower-level dealers, there were shareholders of steel plants, owners of textile factories, and owners of grocery stores on the commercial streets. Although opening a grocery store might seem low-key, you could tell its profitability by the location of the store. With the rise of commercial streets, land prices had skyrocketed, and each store showcased its strong financial standing. Moreover, there were merchants from Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Village in the commercial street, profiting from customers from other villages. After a group of people sat down, one businessman spoke in a strange voice, "Yuya kid, are you even an adult this year? Although you've made a name for yourself on the front line, who knows if the things in the newspaper are true?" Another businessman chimed in, "And little Yuya, have you reported to Hokage-sama? Can we start working? Let's not forget that Hokage-sama ordered you to agree to our requests while you're talking nonsense here." Kagami Uchiha's eyes flashed with coldness. However, Yuya smiled slightly, then took out a stack of papyrus from his pocket, holding back his anger as he distributed a few sheets for everyone to read. One businessman took it with disdain. After just a few glances, his expression shifted from disdain to solemnity. He then looked up at Yuya, the greed in his eyes unmistakable. Yuya said calmly, "No one can complete this matter without the coordination of Hokage-sama." The greed in the first businessman's eyes gradually morphed into contemplation, and he nodded, passing the sheet to the next person. As a result, this change of expression spread contagiously among everyone present. The proposal Yuya presented was very simple: to establish a savings bank, where the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village could deposit their money, and the bank would issue interest annually, usually a few percentage points. During the year, the bank could use this money to invest and generate more income. Essentially, it was equivalent to using the civilians' money to profit for them. These businessmen were all profit-driven individuals. Naturally, they couldn't ignore such a proposal. One businessman quickly asked, Agent Yuya, how can we specifically join this proposal?" Yuya's full title was Assistant Agent for Hokage's Office Affairs, which meant he was the secretary's assistant. But it was clear that Yuya, as the tool man's secretary, had more authority. Senju Rama trusted him more, especially after Yuya proved his capabilities. Yuya didn't answer immediately, he waited in silence. From a practical standpoint, Yuya should not have presented this draft now. The villagers of Hidden Leaf Village didn't have much spare money at the moment. The good times had only passed for a little over a year, and they hadn't saved much. There was actually no need to open a savings bank. Moreover, the further back in the row, the more people Yuya had to control, strengthening his influence. Unlike now, when he needed to recruit a few businessmen to join, otherwise, there wouldn't be enough cash flow or personnel to get things done. But Yuya couldn't wait any longer. He was compelled to put his plans into action, even if it meant doing things he had intended for later. These businessmen might make a lot of money in the next few years, but this was still the world of Naruto, and only by becoming a ninja could one actually touch the centers of power. Without the protection of power, no matter how much money they made, Yuya could still make these businessmen pay it back. Besides, businessmen were generally opportunistic and hesitant, so Yuya decided to present them with a tempting offer. Of course, this was not a bombshell, it was simply a proposal to open a bank. How could this be considered a threat? But it had to be enough to entice these profit-seeking individuals. After a long silence, the merchants gradually quieted down. Seeing this, Yuya slowly spoke, "I have a plan here, and I also have Hokage-sama's support. The question is, where will this savings bank be located?" The businessmen present were stunned. They suddenly recalled the current land prices in Hidden Leaf Village as inner city. If they truly wanted to discuss a location with available land, "I think the building next to the central commercial street," a businessman tentatively suggested, but Yuya closed his eyes before he finished speaking. The businessman quickly fell silent. Yuya opened his eyes and softly responded, "I just remembered that opening a savings bank doesn't seem to require all of you to join. That will be all for today. I'll go back and think about the list." As Yuya said this, he stood up and prepared to leave. The businessmen were unwilling to let him go, quickly stopping him and trying to persuade him to stay. After a brief discussion, they still avoided addressing Yuya's thoughts. He had only one goal, to get land into the hands of the major families. If some people hadn't seen Kagami Uchiha here, they would have mentioned the Uchiha clan. But now, no one dared to. Yuya continued to remain silent. Until one businessman gritted his teeth and said, "I have some connections with the Inuzuka clan, let me go and talk about it." Yuya closed his eyes and remained still. The merchants understood that the Inuzuka clan was not the target. After that, it was the Aburame, Shimura, Akimaki. And Sarutobi. Yuya heard the mention of Sarutobi and opened his eyes. He nodded and looked at the businessman who spoke. If you can do it, it will be your first achievement. There was no envy among the businessman, only ridicule. The businessman who spoke was a bit confused, but then gritted his teeth and said fiercely, "Give me a 5% share. I'll make this happen." Yuya snorted disdainfully. 1%. If you don't want to do it, then forget it. After saying that, Yuya packed up his things and stood up, taking 2 steps before pausing. The businessman thought Yuya regretted it and was about to speak when Yuya interrupted. "I approved your application for resumption of work. I will pay the wages of those workers on your behalf, as I am concerned that some people might not be able to pay their wages." After saying that, Yuya extended a finger. "I only need half of you on the list to join me in building a savings bank. Who do you think should be out?" After Yuya finished speaking, he casually patted the shoulder of a businessman next to him. The businessman who had just scolded Yuya and laughed at him fell to the ground and began foaming at the mouth. Oh, he died unexpectedly. Yuya looked up at the businessmen who were staring at him with various expressions and smiled. "I helped you deal with a competitor, don't mention it." After saying that, Yuya left the Hidden Leaf Village Hotel. Of course, he hadn't killed anyone himself. The hearts of these businessmen were black, and their blood was foul. Killing them would only dirty his hands. He wanted these pests to eliminate each other. In the hotel, the businessman who fell to the ground and was foaming at the mouth grabbed another businessman's feet, gasping, "Help me! Help me!" The expression of the businessman who was caught by the feet changed, and he quickly pulled away with a look of horror, screaming as he left his seat. But from the beginning to the end, he had no intention of asking anyone for help. The businessman on the ground couldn't hold on any longer and passed out. One businessman sniffed and realized there was still a breath. He breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "I knew that kid with the yellow mouth wouldn't dare to touch us." What he didn't know was that the eyes of some businessmen around him had begun to gleam. The next day, when a big businessman confidently came to the Hokage's office to look for Yuya, he was stopped by Kagami Uchiha. The big businessman was puzzled, and Kagami Uchiha said, "The agent will not see any of you until only half of the people on the list remain." The big businessman grew anxious and concocted a reason, "I'm not here to discuss savings banks." Kagami Uchiha looked at the big businessman coldly, not saying much. The big businessman shouted angrily, "Do you think you're the only one who can make money in Hidden Leaf Village? I'm going to the Hidden Cloud Village." However, after leaving the building, the big businessman's mind was filled with the savings bank plan proposed by Yuya. He estimated that the first phase would be worth tens of billions. When had he ever seen so much money? Not to mention there would be a second and third phase. As for leaving Hidden Leaf Village to do business in other villages, the big businessman who had been thinking about it all day was troubled. However, the next day, his wife and daughter found him dead in their home, collapsing in despair. And Yuya smiled. "I finally caught your chicken feet, you bastard." Chapter 53 Follow-up. Generally speaking, as a resident of Hidden Leaf Village, even if you are coerced and lured by Yuya into attacking other businessmen, you would still be entangled like this big businessman. But one type of businessman doesn't feel that way. Spies sent by other countries. They work for foreign nations and have no psychological barriers about killing Hidden Leaf Village businessmen. Therefore, Yuya felt no compunction in capturing these individuals. And if it comes to claiming they were caught by mistake, that doesn't matter. After all, these businessmen are a group of people who don't care about dying. They were merely caught by mistake, not killed mistakenly. What is there to fear? As for whether there will be any wrongful accusations, the secret skills of the Yamanaka clan are more than enough to make these individuals reveal their true identities. It will soon be clear whether they are spies or not. The Yamanaka clan may not be as powerful as the Uchiha, but their population is larger than that of the Uchiha clan. After all, during the Warring States period, the most casualties were among these two families, but they were still the two strongest families of that time. At least no one would starve to death. This family's secret technique is fascinating. It allows them to spy on secrets. Although it can be resisted by ninjas of similar strength, this technique is still very useful for support. Moreover, it is especially effective when the target is a businessman. Afterward, regardless of the process, the number of merchants had indeed been reduced by half. Several of them were confirmed to be traders from Hidden Sand Village, Hidden Mist Village, and Hidden Clouds Village. Well, there was also Hidden Stones Village. The supplies had yet to arrive, but the spies were already here. Your food and supplies haven't been touched yet, so the spies arrived first, right? Kill him, kill him. Kill them all. There is nothing to discuss here. Any businessman who is a spy will definitely be executed, and other villages won't raise a fuss. After all, this is an unspoken rule that everyone abides by. If you object to killing spies, Then I will send hundreds of spies to you tomorrow. Since you can't kill anyone, what are you afraid of? When Hidden Leaf Village's spies were exposed and killed in other villages, Hidden Leaf Village wouldn't say anything. At most, they would take care of the families of those spies and claim it had nothing to do with them. The information they provided was all voluntarily given, they wouldn't admit to anything. What Hyuga didn't realize was that, although his actions seemed somewhat cruel, he didn't kill anyone with his own hands. Therefore, in later historical accounts, it would be recorded that Hyuga drove these businessmen to attack each other. While the spies were exposed, many merchants from Hidden Leaf Village would be blamed for their deaths, and Senju Dobirama would be held responsible. That's right, our third Hokage is a sunny, cheerful, and kind-hearted young man, so he wouldn't resort to such vicious tricks. They were all taught by the second Hokage. 555 feels sorry for the third Hokage, who is not kind to others. As for the other businessmen actually killing each other, it led to the number of places on the list being reduced to less than half. Hyuga himself had a clear conscience, and history books would only record that these businessmen were solely interested in profit, caring about small gains while forgetting about righteousness. As for the families, wives, children, etc. of these deceased individuals, it had nothing to do with Hyuga. After all, as long as one has hands and feet and is willing to work, they will surely not starve to death. Of course, whether the savings bank can ultimately be opened depends on whether the businessman who proposed the plan can secure the land for the Sarutobi clan. What? You said it was the Sarutobi clan because the other families were rejected? Just wait and see if the final result ends up that way. Humphrey, I was such a genius for finishing this in just 2 days. Wait, did I forget something? Hyuga slapped his head hard and hurried to Hidden Leaf Village Ninja School. After school, Hyuga repeatedly apologized to the 3 little ones. He explained that he had indeed been delayed by something over the past few days. However, Tsunade still wore a dark expression, even a delicious barbecue burrito wouldn't lighten her mood. When they finally parted ways, Hyuga didn't dare to make any more promises. He simply stated that if he had time after school, he would definitely come over early and take them out for barbecue. However, Hyuga received 2 suspicious looks and 1 indifferent look in return. Sighing, Hyuga could only express how difficult it was for him. The following day, a ninja from the Nara clan requested to see him. These ninja families finally couldn't help but test Hyuga. But this was normal. No one is willing to meet a leader they don't understand at all. Forget it in the past, during that time, everyone thought Hyuga was just a middleman conveying Senju Dobirama's orders. As a result, 2 years later, he was actually about to become a full-time leader? This. Because Senju Dobirama's prestige in Hidden Leaf Village is very high now, no one will openly criticize Hyuga directly. But there are definitely doubts. So there will undoubtedly be tests. As for Hyuga, it will take a long time to prove himself. And it just so happens that Hyuga is still quite young, so people can gradually get to know him. The test that the Nara clan decided to administer was very simple. They approached Hyuga with a bunch of official tasks and stated that all these tasks needed to be completed within a week. Hyuga genuinely wanted to show the Nara clan what it meant to take 6.5 days to show off and then finish all tasks in half a day. Unfortunately, after thinking about it, he decided to let it go. If he finished earlier, he could focus on his own tasks sooner. He hadn't had time to practice his ninjutsu recently. Uncle Master seems to have no time to develop new jutsu after becoming Hokage. If Uncle Master devoted all his energy to studying ninjutsu, he might double the effectiveness of the techniques associated with the title of Doctor of Ninjutsu. As Hyuga pondered this, he looked through the so-called need to review content handed to him by the Nara clan. The salary adjustment for civil servants. This is a simple algorithm. Benchmark the food prices in Hidden Leaf Village to see if there have been any fluctuations. If so, add more, if not, then reduce it slightly. The factory's leave system and workers' malicious leave requests are straightforward. First, adjust the leave. If the number of rest days is used up, then workers can request 1 day off at a time, but 1 day's salary will be deducted. However, this system must align with the fixed 8 days of rest time per month. Additionally, deductions for leave cannot be counted within these 8 days. The employees in the steel plant are not very motivated. Some can produce 10 kilograms more in a day, while others produce 10 kilograms less. Some people are blatantly lazy. How should we address this issue? Simple, those who work diligently and produce a lot of iron will receive a weekly bonus when their wages are paid. If substantial laziness is confirmed and caught on the spot, a deduction will occur, but don't deduct too much. The first offense will incur a deduction of 100 taels, the second will be 200 taels, and the third will be 400 taels. With both rewards and punishments in place, no one will gossip. Rewards without punishments will cause problems, and punishments without rewards will dampen enthusiasm. Yuya clicked his tongue and shook his head, reflecting on those days. Well, it wasn't that long ago, it was only 2.5 years ago, or 1 year ago. Most people in Hidden Leaf Village just wandered aimlessly in the fields when they had nothing to do, idling all day long without any work. They were simply struggling to get by. 2.5 years later, aside from the sick and disabled, basically everyone in Hidden Leaf Village who could work was working. Even children as young as 7 or 8 wanted to work to reduce the burden on their families. Yuya felt helpless, knowing that special measures should be taken. Right now, Hidden Leaf Village was indeed extremely short-staffed, so he could only declare that factories, textile factories, and other places requiring skills and involving danger could not recruit these children. If these children wanted to work, they could only take jobs as newsboys, waiters in restaurants, or run errands for others. Although Yuya had a somewhat black-hearted approach to capitalism, it had indeed improved the lives of many people. At least the villagers in Hidden Leaf Village, who had never eaten meat before and wouldn't dare think about it, could now choose to eat canned beef or pork, or visit the store in Hidden Mist Village to buy fish and take it home to make soup. However, once people's lives improved, they inevitably became complacent. Now that some were slacking off and not working diligently, Yuya had long anticipated this situation. All he could say was that he had seen and heard of too many cases like this. Chapter 54 Who is the only seedling now? In the autumn of the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, a delegation from the Earth Country, Hidden Stones Village, came to Hidden Leaf Village again. Still leading the team was Anoki. They were discussing the cooperation between Hidden Stones Village and Hidden Leaf Village. The cooperation talks went very smoothly because there were examples of Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Sand Village in the front, and those regulations were also public. Hidden Stones Village genuinely wanted to cooperate, and the first phase of Hidden Leaf Village's 100 million ryo had already been invested. How could Hidden Stones Village have the nerve not to give face? At this point in time, 100 million ryo is still quite valuable. The conditions proposed by Hidden Stones Village are no different from those discussed by Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Sand Village, and Hidden Mist Village. Yuya was naturally willing to accept it. Hidden Stones Village is not like the poor and struggling Hidden Sand Village, nor is it like Hidden Mist Village, which is so far away that it takes a month for a round trip by fleet. Hidden Stones Village is not only rich in resources in its own country but also has convenient transportation. You can enter Hidden Leaf Village through the country of grass, and you can also transport by water through the country of rain. The land of rain is not large, and the waterway is not too long. Anyway, it is definitely much shorter than the route from Hidden Mist Village to Hidden Leaf Village. With such convenient transportation, it is foreseeable that Hidden Stones Village will catch up from behind, just like Hidden Mist Village did at the beginning. The momentum of development will be faster than that of Hidden Sand Village and Hidden Mist Village. But it doesn't matter, Yuya likes everyone to make a fortune together. Now, among the 5 countries, 4 have officially confirmed cooperation. Who is the remaining one? In Hidden Cloud Village, the second-generation Rukongai smashed the table in anger. Brother, you should calm down. Just changing the table in a few days is enough to pay an elite jounin a month's salary. Rukongai's good brother, who is also the Jinchuriki of the 8 Tails, covered his cheek and sighed helplessly. He was almost exploded by Senju Dobirama's mutual detonating talisman, which left him with a psychological shadow. Previously, because they were within the territory of Hidden Leaf Village, Senju Dobirama would not have dared to use this kind of killing move. The daimyo of the Fire Country had to come and have a heart-to-heart talk with Dobirama after blowing up an entire forest. For the same reason, when they later faced each other in the Kingdom of Iron, Senju Dobirama would definitely not dare to use this kind of ninjutsu there. The warriors of the Kingdom of Iron whose homes were bombed to pieces would have fought Dobirama desperately. Then, when they arrived in the Kingdom of Thunder, there were random explosions, and the land within a radius of dozens of miles was flattened. If the second Rukongai hadn't rescued him, he really doubted that he would have died there. Shut up. I thought you could delay for a little longer. But you can't even delay for 2 minutes? The second-generation Rukongai roared. The younger brother could only be speechless. The second Rukongai gritted his teeth in anger as he looked at the information he had collected. How could he not know that his goal was indeed right? That young boy was actually the next Hokage appointed by Senju Dobirama. This is really. However, only the top brass of Hidden Leaf Village and the ninja family understand this news, and they should be able to do something about it. After all, the dust has not settled, and the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village don't know that this boy is the next Hokage appointed by Dobirama. Then there is still a chance. The second-generation Rukongai narrowed his eyes, and conspiracies were brewing in his heart. Brother, shall we fight this battle? The second-generation Rukongai. Damn you, can you please stop interrupting me when I'm thinking about something? But it is indeed a problem. There really is no way to go on with this battle. Hidden Stones Village and Hidden Mist Village are both a bunch of idiots, and they were fooled by Hidden Leaf Village using crickets for a small profit. Madaku and the others are coming with me. Hidden Leaf Village is probably overrun by now. Of course, Rukongai also knew that his idea was a bit unrealistic, and Hidden Leaf Village's strength was not that weak. And in the most difficult first year of the war, that little bastard actually mobilized all the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village to collect supplies for the front line. Do you ever play like this? Directly let the whole village donate money and materials to the front line? Moreover, after the situation eased in the second year, the frontline supplies were not cut off. They even have people who specialize in delivering canned meat and drinks to the front lines. The Rukongai also seized the can and the black drink. They tasted really good. The more Rukongai thought about it, the more upset he became. The enemy's logistics have supplies. After signing the agreement with Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Stones Village, the supply will definitely not be cut off. Hidden Leaf Village's strength is not bad. The further back you hit, the harder it will be. No matter how reckless the second-generation Rukongai is when facing this situation, he still knows that if this war continues, their Hidden Clouds Village will be drained, and the war is all about logistics. How can he survive Hidden Leaf Village's logistics now? The second-generation Rukongai thought over and over again, pacing back and forth for dozens of minutes, but he just couldn't think of a solution. Finally, he came to a conclusion. There was no way to save them unless a meteorite fell from the sky and hit Hidden Leaf Village's frontline headquarters, and Senju Dobirama happened to be sleeping and did not use the Flying Thunder God to avoid the meteorite and was killed. Only then would Hidden Clouds Village and their group have a chance of winning. Or maybe Senju Dobirama committed too many sins and was struck to death by lightning while walking. Only then could their village, hidden in the cloud, win the war. Alas. But where did so many ifs come from? In the end, all the Rukongai could spit out was this sigh. Dong dong. At this moment, the door of Rukongai's office rang. Lord Rukongai. The two figures outside the door had evil smiles on their lips. We are brothers with golden horns and silver horns. At the end of the autumn of the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, riots broke out within Hidden Clouds Village. The second-generation Rukongai was killed by the Gold and Silver brothers. His head was cut off and displayed in public to the people of Hidden Clouds Village, and he announced in a high-profile manner that he would be the third-generation Rukongai of Hidden Clouds Village and would choose a day to rush to the front line in person to start a war with Hidden Leaf Village. This event is historically known as the Union Village Rebellion. When the news came back to Hidden Leaf Village, Hyuga was completely confused. Also confused with him was a young man from the Nara clan next to him who was only a few years older than Hyuga. This was said to be a genius from the Nara clan. Hyuga didn't see any genius in him anyway. In name, the Nara clan asked him to come over to help him, but he just ate a lot of tea and cakes and didn't even think about making suggestions. Although Hyuga can handle many things by himself, it would definitely be fun to have someone help him do it, so he could fish on his own. Now what does this bastard of the Nara clan mean by working for himself? He is obviously 1 year older than me. Shikaya, what do you think? Hyuga raised his head and looked at Shikaya. Shikaya raised his hand and gave a perfunctory salute to Hyuga. I see you as you see him, Hyuga. The corners of Yuya's mouth twitched. What the hell are you doing? You're a salary thief. And eating my afternoon tea. So Hyuga said to Shikaya with a smile on his face, I think we Hidden Leaf Village, as a country of etiquette, should send people to Hidden Clouds Village to mourn. After all, that is the second-generation Rukongai. Liu Yi nodded repeatedly. Yes, you are right, Hyuga. Hyuga smiled and continued, I think you are a good person. Shikaya nodded. That's right. As expected of Hyuga's agent, it can be said to be. What? Me? No. Absolutely not. There is obviously something wrong with this news. Union Village is definitely very dangerous. Chapter 55 Shikaya Hyuga had a dark line on his face. Nonsense, who didn't know that Union Village must be in chaos now? As a genius of the Nara clan, don't you have the ability to handle this? Hyuga said happily to Shikaya. Go ahead. I'll take credit for your success once the deal is settled. Shikaya's mouth twitched. You think I'm a fool, don't you? God knows if I'll make it back alive. Agent, you should send someone reliable to handle something like this. Shikaya protested. I haven't mastered the shadow imitation jutsu or the substitution jutsu. If I go, I'll be walking to my death. Hyuga sneered. Your father promised me that you're a master of the shadow clone and shadow imitation jutsus. Are you saying your father lied to me? If so, the Nara clan's monthly salary will be cut in half next month for deceiving the Hokage's agent. Don't. Shikaya became anxious immediately. The concept of a monthly salary was straightforward enough. Hidden Leaf Village was generally too lazy to collect taxes from these clans annually, so instead, it subsidized them each year, distributing funds when the annual financial summary was completed. However, Hyuga had distributed funds in the autumn of the 19th year of Hidden Leaf Village, even before the harvest was fully collected, and it was 10% more than the previous year. Of course, that wasn't the main point. Besides the Uchiha and Nara clans, Hyuga had given an additional subsidy, 10 million taels. The other clans said nothing about this, but they took note of the implications. The transfer order from the front lines came a few days later, reassigning Uchiha Kage from the Anbu Intelligence Division to the Security Section. It was clear whom this security detail was for. Other families saw it as a gamble. The Uchiha clan seemed to have thrown in their lot with the Hokage's office, while others hesitated. People who already resented the Uchiha clan hated them even more now. Within the village, tensions rose, and the Uchiha's situation became more difficult. Those living on the outskirts, unaffected ordinary citizens, had no part in this. They had neither the wealth nor the time to concern themselves with ninja politics.